everyone. This is Michael J. Nelson. I mean, this being me. And then also with me is Conor Listoka. And we are doing this podcast called 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. Conor, how are you?
This of which is me is doing fine, Mike. Thank you.
I have a question of which this is you. And this might get... I don't know. Is it personal? I don't know. Oh, this is weird. There's a little. I'm going to go outside the. I'm going to like how the sausage is made, kind of a thing. Like you and I have known each other for quite a while.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I've consumed a lot of your years
going on
Earth.
2 decades. Yes. It's.
So this is maybe it's personal, but I'm going to do it in front of everyone, and you know. We'll see what happens. You can do whatever your reaction is your reaction.
Okay, I mean, just weeping, I'm thinking is probably what's going to happen. This is going to unearth some repressed memories. No matter what you're asking.
Because, you know, when we work together on these films, I've thought about this on riff tracks or whatever. Have you drunk any demon blood lately? That's my question to you. It just seems...
Yeah.
Okay. You think about it. No, don't answer right away.
Yeah.
I mean, give it some thought.
Yeah. What was that?
Because you sometimes you go to those
Rex. That wasn't.
Yeah, you go to bars or whatever that aren't quite reputable. It's like, what am I getting here? Well, this is orange bitters with okay. So, but they don't explicitly say, like, is there any demon blood in it?
Yes, exactly. Or I go to a bar and give me the, sex on a trampoline.
Yeah,
and
right.
I don't ask what's in there. It just sounds so good.
Sure, yeah.
But the bartender is, sort of twirling his forked tail and emitting sulfurous odors.
Yeah,
and so now that you mention it, there might have been some demon blood in that sex on a trampoline. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't have had one this morning.
There was a drink that at TGI Fridays when I worked there that people ordered a lot. It was called 1 Free Hour in the Candy Store. And so it was usually a man would not go like, hey, that's just what happened. I don't know.
Good Lord.
I would like to have this one. And then they point to it and I go, I'm sorry, I can't see that. I would like 1 free hour in the candy store. Could you come closer to me? No, you can say it to the table. Go ahead. Anyway, all right. So you haven't drinking any demon blood lately?
I wish we hadn't got into this live on air because that is sort of embarrassing.
I know.
But I have.
I opened it up. Yes,
it's part of my usual. It's just my wake up routine. I have that. I have my Makuna honey. That's big these days.
Yeah, but, what is it? Athletic greens. I drink those little packets that you pour in, and you drink the green gross stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, spirulina. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Tastes better than demon blood, probably.
All right. Anyway, explain what this is and who we are. Sorry for that.
The question is, demon blood factors prominently in the current book we're reading, which is Kailebs Dream by Kaileb Varney, and it is I believe, 90,000 word. Self-published book available for $2.99 on Amazon Kindle. Not that has any bearing on the quality of any of this.
Sure.
But that's just a fact about it, and it's written by a man in his 30s, and we are nearing the end of it. It has been a book full of surprises, full of unconventional narrative techniques. It's occasionally written in bold. It shifts perspective. Between characters without warning, without filling you in on who's speaking, sometimes to characters that you've never even heard of before. And it takes place in several different realms of reality, one of which is our realm, America, more specifically a town in Ohio that... it's always been my lifelong dream to receive a key to the city in a small Midwestern town, right?
I did not know that was your lifelong dream, but that seems right.
I think I'm out of the running for Chillicothe, Ohio.
Yeah. Are you?
Sophia has written in to say, as an Ohio native, I felt it my duty to reach out about I've been saying Chillicothe pronunciation.
Yes,
she
informed us
it is Chillicothe. Yes. And she says, I'm surprised you got 3 episodes in without being corrected. I had been corrected. I chose to ignore them. Other people have also written in about this, and I I rolled my eyes back into my head at this. But so yeah, I think I might be out of the running. But if you are another 20,000 population town somewhere in the Midwest, I would still love to receive the key to your city. I'm just putting it out there.
I lived I guess my high school years, I lived in I lived between two very small towns. One was called Alpha, which is easy, right?
Sure.
Alpha. The other was called, I'll spell it, and you tell me what you think.
God.
Falun.
Fallon.
We would know you were not from the town.
Oh, dear.
Fallen. It's Fallen.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So, yeah, people would stop in and go, it's nice to be here in Fallon. And then people would be like, get the hell out of our town of 30 people. You piece of crap.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
the kind
Fallen.
of stuff. Yeah.
I guess it's named after Sweden town. I
guess. I don't know.
Whatever.
Who cares?
But Kaileb's Dream has been tracking the love story and relationship of Master White Bow and Mistress White Eagle, a.k.a. Kaileb and Hope. And they are preparing for a demon war, which we've been told is coming for
a scheduled demon war. It's on this. It's on the map. It's on the your calendar. I have a Google calendar, and I always tell my wife put that on there. And so she would just write like war, and then she would like block out those days
with demons. Yeah. Yes, it's like having a softball intramural final or something to make sure you're around for. And there are at the end of this section there will be 2 chapters remaining in this. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this demon war because they've been building it up the entire time and it has not begun to start. So,
what is the demon army called? There's it's a really
Brotherhood
clumsy
of like Woba or something, like Brotherhood of Blood Demons or something like that.
Where you can't even pronounce it as a thing. They write a bill in Congress. They're like the happy time, and then you're like, it's called happy.
They wedge they retrofit the acronym. Right, exactly. He did the reverse.
He made it terrible.
But your question to begin this was about demon blood, and that I presume that was based on how this chapter, The Force, starts.
Oh, is there demon blood in this?
Yeah, okay.
I didn't pick that up. Okay, well, let's get into it then.
It starts with Hope, this sweet young girl that the Master White Bow. They're back in the real world. She just suddenly begins to cough up blood 4 sentences into this new chapter. And his question to her, as she's, coughing up blood, and his mother comes in, he says, "What have you eaten in the past few days?" And I was like, if there's one question that we have like extensive records of in this book, it is what she's been eating, because they have tracked every breakfast, every dinner, every grilled meat that they have put into their faces.
Oh, Eddie, have you eaten biscuits? Like, I've eaten biscuits. That's all we talk about.
So that was pretty funny. He's like, "It wasn't my father's grilling that made you cough up blood." But it escalates pretty quickly. It says, his mom's going to drive him to the hospital. I kept close to her as we went further down the road. She continued to cough blood. It rushed into my hand. I took some of the paper towels out of the glove compartment where my mother kept them in case of spills in the car. I ended up using them all, but she still produced blood. So I just liked this is one of those just details that's obviously from the guy's real life thing. Keeping some paper towels or like McDonald's napkins in the glove compartment is a dad power move that he's translating into his literature.
Yeah, you go to your drive-through. You're like, "You get some extra napkins there, Captain? Big shooter, sports fan. You throw some extras in there, and I'll just put them in the sucker." So, question: I have to rise to a point of order here.
Yeah, please.
The mom drives them to the hospital, correct?
Yes.
Because she's coughing up blood.
Correct.
They both can fly. He can fly at 6,000 miles per hour. She's coughing up blood, and he's like, "Mom, could you please
hop in the Geo?" Yeah.
Is this ever explained? I didn't see it, but I don't know. Somebody will probably have an explanation for
This
it.
has not been explained to me because, yes, you're
Okay.
correct. Before she was even his mistress, and I guess that's when he gave her powers, he did, grab her
flew
and say,
her
like,
to the-
hold on, Spider Monkey, and flew her to the thing at 6,000.
Okay. All right. So this is their second visit to a hospital, but this time his mom has to drive them. Okay.
And the
Fair
mom
enough.
reveals herself to be a pretty empty shell of a person here. She's watching we'll get to it, young girl cough up blood and is sort of just like, doop-a-doop-a-doo.
She's pretty clueless. But when she gets to the hospital, this is a thing that I think should be on a medical bracelet. I don't know. I don't know how you do this. It has to be small print, I guess. I can say that she is losing massive amounts of blood. We need to stop the bleeding and give her blood transfusions. I quickly interrupted. If you are going to give her blood, it has to be mine. Otherwise, you will just kill her. What do you mean? The woman hadn't the slightest clue as to why. Well, yeah. What do you think I have? Why do you think I have a mistress? No question mark. Why do you think I have a mistress? We can only receive each other's blood if we take human. It kills us. No punctuation.
Sure.
So that should be on the medical bracelet.
Yeah.
Because if he's not there,
If he was in the corner checking the score of the Cavaliers game or something,
Right.
They hook her up to a thing of O positive.
yeah, they look at her blood and then it's like, why? And then they like, well, we better check her bracelet. Why do you think I have a mistress? We can only receive each other's blood if we take human. It kills us. Like, oh, maybe we should
Right. Bring her in there and then
just
let
do
them in.
plasma for now and see what happens.
And keep in mind, he has gone to the hospital, scrubbed in, and put on a surgical gown to Heather. So he is dressed as a doctor as he is telling her that information. It's maybe while you were, washing your hands, you could have filled us in on her blood needs here. I also just to fill the readers in, as they are taking her to the hospital, he is slapping her to keep her awake. I found that quite funny. That like he's in the back seat and his mom is like driving the Previa down to the hospital as he's like slapping his girlfriend in the back.
Slapping seems to be a thing in our books. I
It
don't
is,
know why.
yeah. How about that? And so as he's about to be hooked up to the blood transfusion, he says, will one of you go out and tell my mother what is going on in a general manner, please?
And then I'll stop reading this at some point because it's too long. But this is all one monologue, which I think is bizarre. And this is the fault of his not being able to close quotes. She steps out and talks to the boy's mother. Hello, comma, you must be the boy's mother who rushed back with his girlfriend. My name is Kara. Listen, I would like to tell you a bit about what happened. The girl is bleeding internally. And no point. So the mom is sitting in the chair like, wait, what? Hello, you must be the boy's mother who rushed back with his girlfriend. Does not respond. My name is Kara. Listen, I would like to tell you a bit about what happened. Mother's just sitting there like, could you look up from your phone?
Stone-faced.
The girl is bleeding internally and we are working to fix the issue. The bleeding is almost controlled and your son has taken it upon himself to give blood, the blood needed to save her life.
My son is what now? Like
This
no?
may frighten you, but we are taking 2 paints of blood from him to give to her.
Well, it appears you just said paints of blood.
I did
so now
say paint,
really
but
have
you
some
know what I meant.
questions.
He,
Yeah.
too, is in the room with us, so we can watch his vitals as we proceed with her surgery.
I mean,
It appears that she has a punctured artery. The mother's just like, oh, what?
She's like that flight attendant that I tried to explain why I had a step pedometer on the shoe that time we flew to San
That was the
Francisco.
best.
Just staring at you, waiting for you to talk yourself into circles. I mean, I thought that this nurse Kara would be like, so do you want to call the girl's mother? Like, which one are you? I guess you're the boy's mother, but are they brother and sister? Like, do you want to let she's about to undergo surgery for the second time and her parents have never visited her in the hospital.
I like how she steps it up, though. She goes, it appears that she has a punctured artery near her heart. As her heart forces blood through her body, it is seeping through the created hole.
That is the
Still,
little
the
buried
mom
lead.
is just like,
her mom's eyes are just very slowly drifting to the TV show.
Yes,
you know,
exactly. There's like
CNN is like, you know, Kardashians at it again as the Chiron, and she's trying to read it.
What?
Punctured heart.
Punctured.
Blood
Punctured.
forcing through. Got it.
Punctured, is that her leg? I just told you her heart. Oh, got it. Yes. Okay.
But then she finally speaks up, and her question is shocking. Do you think he had something to do with it? And then the nurse says, personally, not really.
Personally.
But it is, you know, her mom is like, he has been gone for about an entire year. I'm learning that I don't know a lot about my son. So do you think that he has punctured this girl's artery that he's been hanging out with? So it doesn't speak well of their relationship.
I do love that thing where people say, like, personally, like, hey, what do you think about this issue? Well, personally, and this is just me, and this is my opinion. Like, yes. I think you could just start and say your opinion. Like,
yeah, we have one of those in a movie that we're working on right now. The cops come to retrieve a guy's wallet, and he goes, "I'd like to personally thank you for doing this." It's like, well, you're in your room, like you're wearing a tank top. Like, what? You're not gonna have a secretary thank us on your behalf in your apartment.
Yeah, it's like, you know, sending the robot with the thing up. I'd like to personally thank you. No, I understand it's you because you are presenting yourself.
Wow. So bad things happening to Hope here, but they send Star in, and this is where it says, "I think you have a demonic illness. Have you drunk any demon blood lately?"
Oh, so it does come up. I was just going to ask you.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Have you drunk any demon blood lately? What book are we reading today? And he says, no, but Hope has, and I kissed her after the battle. So that's like, they pinpoint that this is why it has happened. I think she, you know, turned into a panther and drank a demon's blood in the last episode. She couldn't, you know, control herself or something.
Yeah. A lot of panther turning. But then as he nurses her back to health, and you might have other things here, but he says, so he goes out to get her food. So do you like chicken or pudding? Pudding is capitalized. She reviewed the food I held. And it just reminded me, Christmas pud.
Wow, yes.
So he was out to get some, he wants, like, pudding is capitalized. I assume that's Christmas pud.
It has to be. It's a Chillicothe thing. You wouldn't understand. All pudding is pud.
Yeah.
So she reviewed the food I held. Do I get a choice? She had her doubts. Nope, not at all. You get the pudding. The chicken is mine. I growled slightly after I said this. Why did you do that, sir? This is a very inappropriate response. And it says she just laughed in response. And he says, you know, for a Mexican, you sure don't fight that much.
I just put a whoa next to that one. Like, okay.
It is a bizarre feature of this book that he, you know, intentionally makes, you know, the girl, his wife, Mexican, and then just takes every opportunity to sort of make not even veiled, like weird jabs, like from multiple characters' perspective about the fact that she is a, you know, a Mexican person.
For a Mexican, you sure don't fight that much.
Yeah,
I don't even know what the thing is there. Okay, whatever.
I would also just like to point out that before that, the pudding exchange, Star has come in, has done something, and the mom's response to Star coming in, Star was like, "Get out of here, Mom. I need to do something." Mom comes back in and goes, "What did she want?" And then they're like, nothing. And then Mom says, "Oh, well, I'm glad it wasn't something serious. I don't know about both of you, but I'm going home." And it's like, you know, these are children. Like, you can tell them what to do, and like,
15 years old, right?
Find your way home. It is revealed, yes, later that he is 15. We'll get to the girl when that part comes, because that is a pretty intense moment, and we might as well hold off on the surprise for when it actually happens.
So about the food, she says, this is a weird one. I finished my food and waited for her to finish the pudding, Christmas pud. Mm-hmm. She tends to eat slower when she isn't hungry. I mean, I think that's how that works, right? Like,
sure, yeah.
You know, have you ever been to someone like, hey, let's go out and get some lunch? Like, I had a late breakfast. Well, okay, but I haven't eaten. All right, I'll get some.
I'll pick at a salad,
fish
or
taco or something.
This,
yeah, I'll just and then. Wow, you're eating slow. Yeah, I'm not hungry. Is that something that has to be pointed out? She tends to eat slow.
Also, I had heart surgery. I mean, we can presume that's
there
what had
is
to
that.
happen here.
Yeah,
so
she's been
does
drinking,
probably tend to
drinking
lower your
demon
appetite.
blood. Star showed up. That's tiring, Star. She brought some magazines. She brought people and stuff. Teddy bear.
The pudding is where was the pudding? She did slam pudding.
She says something against pudding.
Oh yeah, she does say. Hang on. Before that, the nurse comes in and is like, get me some apple juice or something.
Yeah.
And the nurse comes in and says, "You have a nice one there. How long have you been dating?" And he says, "We haven't.
Yeah.
We're married." My voice was low. Well, now, how is that possible considering your age? I am Mistress White Eagle and he is Master White Bow. That's how.
I forgot.
So that was a laugh out loud moment of this teenager saying this to the thing, and she doesn't say like, "Oh my God, you're still coming out of your anesthesia, like you're talking nonsense." Her face suddenly changed to an awed expression, and I read this one like the guy in Roadhouse. Are you serious? When the guy says for like $20 he can grope his girlfriend. Are you kidding?
Are you kidding me? He waits for her and he summons a book, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is incredible. Thus, I was also pleased to see that all my powers worked again. I did not know they were not working.
I think he tried to, when she was coughing up blood, he was like, "I'll use my powers." Damn, they didn't work.
Oh, so that's why he couldn't fly her?
I guess that's
but
true.
What,
but if they were in the backseat of the car when he tried to use his powers. So
why did they turn on and off? It doesn't. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyway, this is what they follow. Thus, I was also pleased to see that all my powers worked again. The book was well written, and I liked that it was set in medieval times. That was my favorite. You can't. It's like that Albert Brooks movie, like about the nest egg. Like, you can't say the words nest or egg again. You can't say a book was well written. You are not allowed to do this. Yes. Those words are out of your.
Yes, please just give us one sentence from this supposedly well written book. What does that look like in your mind, sir?
You can't say that a book was well written. You are not allowed to do that.
Or even just to mention a well-written book. Your mind starts to wander as to what that might be like to read something like that.
So you're reading along, and did you have the same? I'm assuming you had the same. It is mind-bending when he does the shift of narrator.
Yes. Oh,
right.
Yeah, because
like
I read that
so
exchange.
Annoying.
I read that exchange with the nurse, and I think it was him talking, then the nurse, and then the other person talking, all using first person, like
yes.
And you don't know that because it starts being like, "I am Mistress White Eagle." It's like, you are. That's who's been talking. Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating and insane to not break it up with 3 stars or something when it changes. Asterisks, not 3-star characters in this book. The character we know so well.
Yes, I understood that. Just then, so he's narrating. It's all of him and like, go out and get some apple juice and whatever. And then she talks to him, and that's when you said that they're married or whatever. Yeah. Just then, Kaileb burst through the door. I could tell he had heard me. What are you doing telling this woman who we really are? And then 2 paragraphs later, it shifts back to him.
Got it.
This was infuriating. Like, what the... Wait, what? It's him narrating. There's no break at all. It's just like the line goes right down. Just then Kaileb burst through. He narrated the last line. I went out to get some apple juice. Just then Kaileb burst through the door. What? Ah!
It's like a ghost possessing someone. It just happened. It leaps from person to person at any given time. They're possessed by the narrator, I guess.
But thankfully, all becomes right with the world because they drive to a Mexican restaurant.
Correct. She is starving because this comes. They slam pudding. It just I hope no one's eating their pudding as they read this, because they'll probably do a pudding spit take. But she says, "I'm starving. Sorry, but pudding isn't exactly a fulfilling meal. It kind of lacks that certain heartiness." So we have two spoon-eaten substances with new slogans coming out of this book. We have pudding. It kind of lacks that certain heartiness, and cream of wheat. The never-ending mixture. So two things I'll never be able to see again without thinking of Kaileb's Dream.
But the tension is high because they're going to go to a Mexican restaurant. Who is going to pay for this? I can't even.
It's
my heart is racing. Like, oh my God.
He does have several palaces, however. So we don't know what his mom does. She could be a well-paid attorney or something.
That's true, but I don't know. They go to a Mexican restaurant. Like, what's the? I don't know when this was. This was written in what year?
True. It could be one of those, have you dined with us before? We do things a little differently.
Yeah, we do things a little differently. We have a wellness fee, all of that. But thankfully, the tension is quickly, it's like a Hallmark movie where you're like, oh my God, they're going to a Mexican restaurant. Who's going to pay? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
We will pay for the food. You just drive, Mom. You know my favorite Mexican restaurant. Oh, God.
Yeah. His mom was like, man, things haven't been going so well lately, so this is really... Oh, my credit card was going to be denied if he made me pay my 15-year-old son.
Yeah.
Who just got out of the hospital. His girlfriend has had open heart surgery, and I'm taking her to, Tequila Grande.
I don't have chimichanga money. I got to tell you, son. I do not.
The chips and salsa had better be the kind where they bring them out free as soon as you sit down. That is, we can't afford the Cadillac margarita, just a regular house
Tableside guacamole. What are we, millionaires?
But this is another good detail. You're wondering who's going to pay, and I have this. I thought I had a pretty good understanding of their mom. She didn't respond to the nurse. She wonders who Star is. I thought I pretty much had her down, but It says we drove for a good while watching as the road passed beneath us. The trip was nice and quiet for the most part. I guess the bar is pretty low considering the last time you were in the car, she was coughing up blood all over the backseat. Soon as we arrived at the restaurant, and Mom, being who she is, parked in the closest parking space to the building. It's like, what does that possibly indicate? She took the most convenient parking spot, like any human would do in any given scenario? Like, if it was like, Mom being who she is, she parked sideways across two handicap spots. Right. Mom's a real jerk,
Being who she is.
It is not elaborated upon, unfortunately.
But passed it on to her son, right? Because his brother, didn't he park in the spot? Two spaces.
Oh, wow.
As I recall, parking was mentioned in the last time that he went to a Mexican restaurant with his brother.
When he also paid. That was
I paid. He wants to make that true.
That
is a trait. My sons used to go to, when they were kids, we would go to a grocery store and be like, all right, kids, go nuts, get what you want. But I would drive the back way to the grocery store and park in a thing behind it because I didn't want to go to the main thing. And they're like, Dad, just park it. I'm like, I'm not doing it, man. I'm parking in the employee lot.
Because it was more convenient to get to that lot? This does sound like something that you're going to have to elaborate on.
It was more, the main lot is just, it's crazy. It was like, remember O'Brien's, the lot?
Okay, yeah. It's
like a Trader Joe's parking lot where I'm going to get hit. So I would just park in back in the employee's lot, and they never towed me. And my kids
Dad
were like,
being who he was.
Dad being who he was.
Okay, well, that makes a little bit more sense.
Okay, there you go.
He's a practical, eccentric parker. Yes. That's not the same as parking in a convenient spot indicates something about her character. Well, speaking of family members with interesting character, they eat some real food, they go home, like, etc. They then drive back home to his house. I don't know if her family's there. I don't know if her family has been alerted that she's been to the hospital for the second time since she started dating this boy. But it says, Here we go. A lot of my family, as well as hers, were there.
Yeah.
Welcome home. I am glad you're all right. Period. My grandmother was always over concerned, but that was okay. Like, yeah, settle the hell down, Grandma. Like, we can't just be walking in the door when you're already like babying us and, making sure that we're sitting down and well fed. Like, welcome home. I am glad you're all right, Grandma said. It doesn't even sound like she got up from her chair.
I heard you were coughing up blood.
Join the club.
Packing the cigarettes on her arm.
Hole in your artery, eh? Yeah, I got a few of those.
By the way, before they left the restaurant, he said, "We ate until we couldn't eat anymore, then paid for the food and left." So if you're going to restaurants and not doing that, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Eat until you can't eat anymore, then pay for the food, then leave. Right? Just a little instruction manual for you.
Be like Mr. Creosote in The Meaning of Life? Is that what they're...
I couldn't eat another bite.
It's a good thing Mom parked in the closest space because they're going to have to roll us out of here. And then they sort of get back. They're talking to all the family. They're saying, like, what are we doing here? And then we get this amazing sentence. We're only 2 months and 2 weeks before the war. I didn't even notice that. We have a time frame. I know, I reassured her. Just as I began to stop time, I was interrupted and my concentration broke. So I don't know what's
Does that always happen? Just as I was about to stop time.
It's like when you open the fridge and you forgot what you went there for. He does that, but when he's stopping time, which I don't think he's done since the third page of the book, by the way.
All of a sudden, this thing happens. Her grandma. I was about to stop time. Dang you. And they get interrupted they get attacked, right?
He goes out. Too many people are speaking Spanish, so he goes outside into the woods. As you do.
And he starts to play the flute. That's right.
Yeah, I think doesn't he summon the flute, or he summons multiple flutes, or something?
He summons a flute and starts to play. And he loses track of time.
And a demon attacks him as he's like, "Oh, you're Master Wipo. I just saw some guy playing the flute in the woods, and I had to stop him. That's annoying as hell, man." I thought
it could have been
Fear.
anyone. It's like some guy from the bar who was walking to another bar that was across this little thing of woods, and like, "You playing the flute?
Yeah.
You son of a..."
No jury will convict me.
That's right. But the demon attacks. I am a demon, this is what I do. Fair enough, I guess. So he attacks. Anyway, what is going on here? Into a tree I slammed, only to bounce off again to meet the ground. Now, that's a sentence you couldn't, no human being wrote that. AI couldn't even come up with that.
Correct.
But whatever. But slamming into trees, what is happening in our books?
It was so delightful.
I cannot believe it.
As you'll recall, that was pioneered in Antigua by Larry and Denise Ellis. It was reprised in their second book, so it's clearly something that they think is a thing. It is not a thing. It's only ever showed up in those books. And then this book, which we are reading, one book after The Land of the Mopek. I don't know. I don't know what movie we have not seen that this is like a reference point to, but it's incredible. How can this keep happening? How can they keep getting away with it?
I don't know. I was thinking about it when it happened. I'm like, Lord of the Rings, no.
Crouching
Castle,
Tiger,
I was thinking of all the movies this guy might have seen. I was trying to think of Narnia. No, I don't think so. I don't think they slam people into trees.
He just gets force pushed into a tree and then bounces off again to meet the ground. It's amazing. It's really amazing.
I don't know. Okay.
And if that had been, fanfic, that would have been like, get the hell out of here.
Yes, exactly.
You have overshot this is inappropriate how pandering this is, but amazing. Really amazing.
Wow.
So this is a demon named Rill who is attacking him. And he, this is how, there's fighting and taunting and stuff, but this is how the fight ends. W, and then I believe M dash, an extremely long M dash.
Mm-hmm.
Ellipses, That's a sentence. W ellipses as in quotes. He began to speak, and only one syllable passed as his head was separated from his body by the cold thirsting of the blood-lusting blade of which was my sword. Ellipses. It was over. So the blade is blood-lusting, but also cold-thirsting, and that is how he decapitates Rill, who then gets his own parenthetical. Parentheses. Rill began to move his body now together once more, and Master Whitebow ? He no longer held his eyes upon the once dead. End parentheses. Very strange thing, but I think it means that Rill now takes over Master Whitebow's body. He possesses him.
Oh,
I think because he turns around before the fight's over. He had decapitated him, so it's a reasonable assumption.
Oh, I did not get that.
Got it. Yeah,
it comes up later.
Easy to miss,
but I did not get that. The paragraph before it. Try to follow this. Like, if you're not reading this book, I challenge you to follow this.
Okay.
I lunged, and by I assume that means Master
Whitebow.
We don't know, but I'm going to make that assumption.
It's never 100% assumption.
No, you do not assume that. I lunged, at the same time, I pulled a spike into place at a slight slant behind him. I stayed my teeth and claws, only my palms met his shoulders. I pushed him back onto the spike, impaling him in his chest.
What I think he's done here...
What?
It, of course, makes no sense, and I don't know what I stayed my teeth means.
I don't know either.
I mean, isn't that something you could be like, gentlemen, stay your weapons, like in a old timey play or something, right? But I don't know how you do that to your teeth.
Stayed my teeth. Teeth.
But
I'm staying my teeth right now.
I think he's done the playground gag of your friend, crawling up behind someone on all fours, and then you pushing them over them. You know that gag? Like,
yeah, sure, of course.
It would be considered like assault if you just pushed someone over, but someone crawling up behind someone makes it into a funny gag,
Sure.
And they topple over him. I think he has sort of done that. He's like reached around, put a spike behind him, pointing towards him, and then he pushes him back.
And then
onto
did a
the spike.
Three Stooges push him under the...
Exactly.
The demon's like,
whoop, whoop, whoop.
I'm not drinking any of your blood, and then turns away. Okay, so he possessed... That's supposed to be the parenthetical is supposed to be possession?
Yes, and for the first time, that's how it happened. Because people have been possessed before. That woman who he came into her house and helped her while she was sitting on the couch. I think Lewis was being possessed. I don't think those weren't in parentheses, however. Those were just straight ahead. He told us they were being possessed.
Okay.
But then he comes back in, and so his behavior indicates that he's possessed. He comes back in and essentially starts like lunging at Hope and like forcing himself onto her. It's pretty grim. It says in response, he tries to like... force his tongue into her mouth as they're kissing. In response, she clamped down on his tongue, thus nearly biting it in half. It dangled only just still connected within my mouth. She healed it as she felt sorry. So that's the other thing about as she's, lying in bed with this severed artery or whatever. Like, keep in mind, he has died twice. I believe she has died probably a couple times as well. So, and then, if she bites his tongue off, she can heal it if, as soon as she wants to. So, and maybe his mom was right to be blasé about all this.
It's true. And Grandma. I'm glad you're okay. He says right after what you read, I again placed my lips to hers, and again my tongue found refuge among hers.
God.
She now rolled hurling. There's no punctuation. She now rolled, hurling me across the yard, barely missing the newly planted apple trees, which was a news like, why didn't we hear about the newly planted apple trees? How is this in Chillicothe? Chillicothe. Sorry, everyone from Chillicothe. Tell me about your apple trees if you're listening. When do they get planted? So what time of year is it if they're newly planted apple trees in a yard in Chillicothe?
Good question. Yeah, is there like a municipal, like, like providing trees for people, at a low cost to get this happening? Like maybe it's on the Johnny Appleseed Trail, so they want to embrace the heritage or something. But maybe that's what Dad was doing when he couldn't also go to the hospital with them, being like, "Take your car, honey. I got to plant these apple trees. I don't want that blood dripping everywhere."
Yeah, so he does this weird assault on her, and that's when I was like, okay, I mean, he says later he's possessed, but I didn't know that parenthetical meant he was. And then he calls her Chica. Yep. Chica, you're going to have to do a lot better than that.
Yeah. That's the demon talking, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So, he does so you want to play rough? Good. That's not how the game is played. But then he's like, they're like wrestling or whatever, and he's trying to bite her. But then he says, I was granted a 1-minute window of total control. No reason why that happens, but whereas the demon again was dormant. Hope, it's me, Kaileb. I'm overshadowed by a very powerful demon. None of my actions are of my own will. My voice again changed from frantic to the annoyingly calm as the demon took hold again. So I don't know. I mean, I'll try that. Read it again.
Yeah, go ahead. Sonic John.
Hope, it's me, Kaileb. I am overshadowed by a very powerful demon. None of my actions are of my own will. That's pretty annoyingly calm. So
and Hope, who just like bit the demon's tongue off, is like, oh, okay. It's a meet cute. I get it. This is fun. All right.
I did feel bad for you after I bit your tongue nearly off. That was. And then it's revealed. The humans, being my parents and Hope's, along with my brothers and sisters and that of a child, stood in awe as they watched from afar the battle unfold. So they have returned from the hospital. She nearly died. They've said, we're glad you go. And then they start biting each other's tongues off and rolling around amongst the newly planted apple trees. So
I challenge anyone, if you can, write a worse sentence than this. The humans, comma, being my parents and Hope's, along with my brothers and sisters and that of a child, stood in awe as they watched from afar, not afar, right, the battle unfold. I don't think there's any worse sentence in all of literature anywhere in all of time. Right?
Bold claim considering what we have covered on here. But I mean, yes, like it is a explosion of bad grammar. I don't know what.
God.
And that of a child.
That of a child.
I guess that's one of his, nephews or nieces or something, but I don't know. They essentially then start like doing the Marvel like blasting each other just with like beams of energy.
Yes.
Like just one
sheer
shoots
light,
the other shoots dark. Yeah.
Sheer light spelled wrong, by the way.
Oh, yes, like barber's shears. Yes. We summoned together our energy as one and released upon the demons a massive beam of sheer light, of which ignited the flames, which burn. I'm reading the of which is like they're normal, like of which ignited the flames, which burned them, thus making them flee temporarily. So that's the action. From our chest through the black energy, which now forced us down to our knees. As we hit the ground, we left the angel state. They've been in the angel state, by the way.
Angel state. I don't have to explain that to you.
Sure.
Anyone. State of angles.
And I think what happens is like they fight them off, and then a guy named Will Black shows up, who is like the founder of the whole council or something.
Yeah, he's been around before. We know Will Black. Come on.
I think he's like the general contractor of the pyramid he's building somewhere. He's the one that found someone's body on a temple, and Hope had to swim through the aqueducts of this temple or something.
Well, let me just explain. As I looked up, curious as to the happening, period, I there before me saw he who founded it all, Master Will Black. He wasn't as human, but a spirit. I think I just explained it, right?
Thank you.
I don't need to say anymore.
Yeah. No need to go back. Those of you who aren't reading along, you're up to speed with the rest of us.
I was curious. I looked up curious as to the happening. Yeah.
Oh, man. If there was an audiobook of this read by, Morgan Freeman, Bronson Pinchot, I don't know. Someone needs to get on there. Maybe we should just record. It would be impossible. It's a tongue twister of a novel.
Oh, God. Can you imagine?
So they fight everybody off, and then they go back up there, and he's like, well, I guess I should wipe everyone's memory since we can do that. But he said, like, no, like Master Will Black and the rest of the council said they're ready. They'll understand. You can tell them now who you are. And it says, well, everyone, we are married and have been as such for the past few months. Well, since the beginning of summer. And people are just sort of, he's like tallying the demon blood off. He's like, making sure the apple trees weren't knocked over. He's making sure his tongue is still not hanging out of his jaw. And everyone is like, oh, you're married. Yeah, cool. All right. That makes sense.
Well, that would probably be why when I told you that you could stay with her at the hospital, you didn't hesitate to do so, yes? That's what humans say to each other, right? When their 15-year-old son says he's married.
I've been married for a few months.
I've been married, but not in this world, but in another. Well, that would explain why in the hospital, honey. And he's like sipping his, Northeast, like, what? Shit.
Just turning the volume up on the Cavs game, like trying to like not have anyone interrupt
What
him.
is this?
And then this is another thing humans would say upon this scenario happening, like everyone is still watching. So if you're married to her, have you, gone that far to try for children? No. No, my 15-year-old son, freshman in high school. No, yet we haven't because we are only married as warriors and not as humans as well. Both our parents looked confused. What do you mean? What do you mean? The both shouted.
So that's how it works. All this time we were speculating, like, are they married? Are they not? They're married as warriors, but not as human beings. So I guess, don't they say like Episcopalian or something? They're going to be in the church.
It has to be in a church, but I don't remember which one it was. That would be incredible if that was specified.
Wow.
And then they say if we will be killed for disobeying the rules of the council, I suggest you get married then, my brother pointed out. And here comes a sentence that has thrown our listeners into disarray because, I'll just read it and you can see how you react yourself. Take a big spoonful of pudding before I get to this part. Well, the law says we must be adults to be married, and thus I am 15 and she 13. I don't see that happening anytime soon. So this comes out of the clear blue, right? We had no idea that she was this much younger than him, right?
I was stunned. She met him at a freshman mixer. So someone brought her, right?
Yeah.
Like,
maybe she was selling Girl Scout cookies nearby and just wandered into it.
Maybe you can meet some dude. I don't know. This is stunning.
Stunning, yes. Especially because one of their parents just said, so you've been gone that far to try for children? It's like, I am 13.
So this is like Jerry Lee Lewis, right? At what was it, like in 58 or something? Stops at flies to London and they do a press conference like, hey, it's Jerry Lee Lewis. Who's this?
Uh-huh.
Oh, this is my new bride. Like, who are you? I'm Elma Lee and I'm 13. And then like the world explodes. I mean, she was probably older than 13.
I don't know if she really was that much older. She was pretty young.
She was pretty young. But anyway, the whole world explodes, and then he flies, of course, back to America, and everyone's like, what the hell? What?
Yes.
He's literally doing...
I see how it is.
Okay.
Let's just go back to Salem.
13-year-old cousin.
Yeah.
All
I'll put
right.
a scarlet P on my chest for pervert if you want. Okay. All right. Whatever.
Wow. So she's 13.
She's 13 after everything that has happened. She's been
Can
put
I
in the
just
hospital.
say, though, that a 13-year-old, they were back at the castle. They invited what were their names? The Ills or the Psalms or whatever?
Yeah, the ones that,
the
Mr.
couple
Psalm,
over?
Yeah, to play the flute.
Like, does a 13-year-old really enjoy, like, hey, I made up the extra bedroom for them, but do we really have to Because I was hoping to scroll I have like an Instagram account. Like, is she really going to be
a new Stanley tumbler that I was really hoping to buy one of those things? Like, she just carries.
She's like instead like making a Caesar salad for them. I hope that I put enough shredded cheese in the salad. Do you enjoy that, Mr. and Mrs.?
But are the Psalms also like riding the horse back to like their own home, being like, "Honey, can we stop hanging out with a 13-year-old girl? Like, this is just, it's sort of odd, I don't want to tell the neighbors that this is what we did tonight.
There are very few immortals that we can hang out with, but if you want to look at my book and arrange the things, because we have to do something, because I'm not going to just stay in this pyramid with you. You got to do something.
What about a bowling league? I mean, that seems like there'd be people our age there. I don't know that 13-year-olds are going to be hanging out in the bowling alley. That seems... But so like a lot of people did freak out because this is a, guy in his 30s writing about this and, whatever.
Sure.
To those people, I'd like to say, how old do you think the couple is in the most famous love story of all time?
Romeo and Juliet?
I looked it up. Romeo's 16 and Juliet is 13. So I think that this is pretty much cut from the exact same cloth. So maybe settle the hell down with your criticism of Kaileb Varney here.
Question, though?
Yeah.
Didn't people in that day live till they were about 51?
Sure. So
this guy's 2,000 years old.
They're middle age.
So I'm just like...
Yeah. If we are going to be parsing it that way, I guess she is probably
as a percentage,
a toddler. And they pretty much say like, here's what we got to do. There's a demon war coming, and their parents forbid them to go to war, which was also pretty funny, like Twilight mustache dad kind of energy. Like, and then they go back inside, and this is the conversation that they resume after saying, we're going to war with demons, we're married, blah, 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 we just fought a demon. Hey, what of your court appearance, Mom? Her mom was pained at the question. I still have to go, she said, her tone low and embarrassed. Court? For what reason do they seek your counsel? I asked. And so this is Hope's mom. My mother was caught without insurance on her car, so she has to go before a judge in the morning.
This is unbelievable.
Beginning, one of my favorite sections of any book we've ever read. This is incredible. They are about to fight a demon war. It's in 2 months. They've just fought demons in the front yard and admitted that they're married as 13 and 15-year-olds. And we get an interlude of fighting Hope's mom's traffic ticket in court.
They live in a pyramid in an alternate land. And they have friends over who are also from a council that runs like a secret world. But they go to fight a traffic ticket in court. And we get... Because when it came up, I had the line like, please tell me about this stuff, not about the pyramid. Right, and then it does. I was so happy. Like, you cannot.
It's very, James Whittian. Like, there's a pandemic happening, but also we've got to go, I got to make a software deal for, $10 million and then sell solar panels to some people. Like, it's just the most mundane thing.
It's unbelievable. So obviously, this guy was writing the book, Kaileb Varney was writing the book, his cousin or his mom or something like, I'll drive you to court. I am writing a novel. Oh, you're doing that thing, the Twilight book thing, like.
Oh yeah, I've got it right here. If you want to read the pages.
Oh no, I'm good.
I got it bound, no problem at all. I have several copies.
You know what? I got to read my court.
I'd love for you to provide notes.
I got to sign this stuff. Let me look at it.
It's about a a guy with my name who marries a 13-year-old.
No, oh boy, the judge is okay.
Judge might be seeing you next. That's. But so they do get to this, but there is something I need to touch on in between there because it is may reflect just as poorly on this guy as the marrying a 13-year-old.
Yeah,
they're at her mom's house, I think, and they're like, "Hey, while on the subject, I would like you to also wear some night clothes." I almost choked at the words. You're crazy. I don't feel the need to waste my time to dress for bed. So I was like, okay, this is not an unreasonable request. He usually sleeps naked. And she's saying, well, we're in my parents' house. Wear some night clothes. No. Sorry. She says, sorry. I hate to tell you, but having jeans rubbing against me all night is kind of uncomfortable. Some softness would be much appreciated. This whole time, he's been sleeping in jeans.
He's been sleeping in jeans.
Twisted, sickening stuff. Like, is he going the whole Canadian tuxedo? Is he wearing a denim jacket as well? Like,
he's a never nude.
I mean, possibly the most insane detail we've read so far. But let's keep moving. We've got to get to the court.
Okay, so we go to court, but before that, though, the coffee.
Okay, yeah. There's more coffee.
Yeah, before they go,
got it.
Yeah,
I see it.
I keep a clear mind during the trial tomorrow. I too went to bed and then woke early that morning. It's so frustrating to read because there's no punctuation. It was early as to not have light. It was 5 a.m, and I decided to make some coffee. As it was finished, I took a cup from the handmade cabinet and poured some of the strong coffee into its confines. Following were 2 scoops of sugar,
nice,
and a tad bit of cold milk.
Cold milk, thanks for specifying.
Scoops of sugar? Like, I'm thinking of like going into a grain bin. I took this and stirred it, allowing the flavors and cool milk to create a blissful drink of which would soon grace my lips as it has for so many days before this. Is this anyone's experience of making a goddamn cup of coffee in the morning?
It's like a Folgers ad. Exactly.
Oh my God.
The best part of waking up is putting 2 scoops of sugar and a tad bit of milk into the confines of your cup. And this is we did not read. He also got coffee while they were in the hospital, and that was the coffee that I think we did a real or fanfic where he wasn't he didn't like the coffee. He was like choking it down. So this one, I guess, is a blissful drink. So this is much better coffee they have at Hope's house.
Yeah.
Someone wrote in to say like they thought this could have been like voice recognition software how he does this, but I just don't think that's possible either unless it's severely malfunctioning because reading these out loud is so difficult because no one talks this way. Thus of which and of which is just not how it works.
And then they have a little makeout session before the court scene, right?
Where she presses her nose to his neck.
Yeah.
Which can you stop that? That's I mean, it would make more sense if this was a actual 15-year-old writing this and was, doing the, telling his buddies at camp, like, yeah, I've made out with a girl before. Yeah, she like presses her nose to your neck and then you go to sleep wearing jeans. That's how it works.
And the other guy's like, what does she do? Tell it again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all right, but I think I heard a counselor, so like, quiet down.
Okay, so sorry, got that out of the way. Then they go to court.
Yes,
and this is your favorite thing.
I just can't believe it. It's so delightful. The presiding judge is named James Nelson.
Nelson.
I think that
presiding judge.
As we had, if it had been a Mike Nelson, we would have had to like just we just
shut down
exactly.
Goodbye, everyone.
We're being Truman showed. What's going on? People are being tossed into trees. I'm a character in this book now. And it says, the case is concerning Mrs. Romero against the state in relation of the law. The state is demanding that the defendant pay an overdue ticket concerning a traffic violation. So I guess she had no insurance, and then she got a ticket for that, and she didn't pay it on time. And it doesn't really seem like this is the kind of thing that warrants a trial in my mind, but maybe they do things different in Chillicothe.
I guess so. But a court case about insurance, about a lack of insurance. I think it's pretty much like they staple the thing to your, just go pay this. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then if you don't pay it in 6 months, it goes to bench warrant and then they get you or whatever. But then the judge, James Nelson, says the case is concerning Mrs. Romero against the state in relation of the law, which you would think was like, yeah, I think that's what we're with. The state is demanding that the defendant pay an overdue ticket concerning a traffic violation. And then says, Mrs. Romero, this is James,
Yes.
Mrs. Romero, do you have any possible evidence you would like to present in your defense?
And her evidence is this: Your Honor, I have a phone conversation recorded on this disc. I don't know.
What disc?
It is written as like disc, like diskette, like a 3.5 floppy.
Yeah.
I, along with one of the state police, discussed the ticket. I explained that I had paid the amount due. However, he argues that I didn't. So this is real trial of the century stuff. The jury is like, oh my God, like, I wish I had gotten the breaking and entering that's happening next door.
And I'm emphasizing this just because of what comes later. The judge raised his hand, gesturing for her to be silent.
Okay. The judge, James Nelson,
James Nelson,
gesturing for Mrs. Romero,
raised his hand
to be silent. Got it.
Right.
Okay.
And then we'll continue on.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
They argue. He's like, you have 30 days to pay this. I have no further questions as of now, Your Honor. There was a witness. Who was the witness? I forget.
The witness was dismissed. It says that I think it's the policeman that she was recording. I assume surreptitiously, possibly violating more laws. He's the guy that wrote the ticket. He's the officer that, like, the citing.
So he was called to the. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, the trial would commence the following 4 hours. So they left. The judge is like, 4 hours from now, we'll decide on this. And then 4 hours later, ...
Uh-huh.
Well, now we shall begin the sentencing, the judge mused. Mused. Sure. Separate sentence, by the way. The judge mused is a separate sentence. And the judge says, this is what we're going to do. And then he walks in, because Master Whitebow.
Whitebow kicks in the door as like a surprise witness or something.
Yep, exactly. And he said, I, Mrs. Nelson, presume differently. My smile was even and wide. Master Whitebow, what say you? She seemed angered. James?
You doing
What's
okay What did you get up to in those 4 hours here?
It's quicker than okay. Well, all right.
It's like the guy in the room being replaced by a different actor. That the Peter the psychologist is now just played by another person. It is never explained or addressed.
It's like 3 sentences above. He can't remember that his judge was James Nelson. Well, Mrs. Nelson, that would be really embarrassing as you come in and like do the kick open the door and you're waving the folder in front of you. Well, Mrs. Nelson. I don't know to whom you are referring, sir, yes. But please get out of my court. Shit. I mean,
I was trying to make I was going to do a whole you're out of order thing, but now the jury is just sort of laughing at me and
I can't come back in, can I? You can't repeat that. Ugh. It's like blowing a joke. You just can't start again. And
he has to do the Grandpa Simpson, just pick his hat back up and walk right back out the door. But he does try to do sort of a you're out of order. I think the judge says, as you know, the council rules. I don't know who's saying it. He says, as you know, the council rules over everything, no matter the outcome. She shouted now. Well, then what is the reason for the laws and powers of the world? And the jury is like, it said that we would get like $8 additional on our per diem if this went past 4. So is this going to make it go past 4? Because I do have a sitter. Since I have a stay-at-home parent, I've got to get back to. And then here's what happens. It says, so you deem a traffic ticket important? Her question seemed quick. Not for money, but for the mistreatment of the law. You gave her a month to pay it off. When she paid it off 1 day late, you saw it as unpaid. So that's what the whole thing hinges on, is she paid it a day late. Therefore, in the system, it was called unpaid. And this is where I realized this had to have been, it's so needlessly specific, it had to have been a personal vendetta. And then the judge orders the state to clear her record, and she will have to pay a late penalty of $100. And the judge,
she now, I guess, right?
Yes, Mrs. Nelson.
Mrs. Nelson, Mrs. James Nelson.
It says her question seemed quick. You deem a traffic ticket important.
Says Mrs. Romero will pay the late penalty of $100. The judge, Mrs. Nelson, smiled knowingly that my decision was just, and then in quotes, "Let it be as such," she declared as the hammer fell, ending the trial for good. So that's what Mrs. Nelson said.
That's a quote. That's within... He does the rare time where he closes a quotation mark, and that is how it does. And then someone, not specified who, but says, "Court dismissed, all have a nice day." So I don't know if that was like Lewis as a character witness or what, but... And then he says, this is how he wraps up the courtroom scene. The state now realized that the counsel was watching and that they couldn't do as they pleased. Their errors never go unchecked. I also told them I am watching everywhere. So the state realizes they can't shake down late fees on traffic tickets anymore. Like, this is his vendetta has finally been realized. You're being watched.
I wish I had him on my. Once in California, I went through a camera.
A red light camera.
Yeah, I got the red light camera, and they sent me all the photos of me like going through the red light and stuff. And it ticked me off. So I went to a site that said like, just subpoena all the companies that own this. So I did. And they dropped the charges and everything. But I said, I want all the information from.
Nice.
And you can do it if you're just a jerk like I was. Like I could just pay the $700, but I was like, I don't have it. So I argued.
That's the modern day. You're out of order speech is just filing multiple freedom of information requests from traffic light companies.
So someone banged a gavel and said, "Court dismissed, all have a nice day." And I just went home like, I win, you sons of...
Oh, so yep. The demons are pretty much like doing the final inspections on their tanks and like greasing up the treads and stuff, and giving St. Crispin's Day speech about humanity's blood running through the sewers, and he's just negotiated a traffic down to $100 fine.
The council's watching you. The judge is like, "What counsel? I just went through a sex change. I don't really have time for whatever you're taunting me with."
Man. All right. So they get out of the trial. They're all probably in high spirits, being like, "Where are we going to go celebrate this? I'll buy lunch, Mom, if you ever get a good parking spot." And then they invite him down to Tilica. They say, "Hey, like both of our parents, you want to go down there for a few days or weeks, depending." I believe that his parents do have other children.
Yes,
so I think they're just
they
like,
both do, yeah.
Those kids can take care of themselves. I'll tell them to water the apple trees every now and then. And so they do that. They bring them all down to, their chambers or the lake or wherever they were going.
Katosia, the castle.
Sure, Katosia. And he says, we'll stay at the estate. You, Mrs. Romero, and your husband, if you would like to see the estate, just ask one of the furriers to take you. It's free, of course. Furriers. So, I mean, I thought that was probably not the right word, but I'm also like, I'm an idiot. I don't know. Maybe in fantasy they have a different term for this. No, it means a fur trapper or trader,
a person who deals with furs. It's just what you'd think it was.
Yes, and he uses it twice. He has
he says, as soon as I finished writing, I gave it to a furrier to deliver it to the generals, capitalized.
So the furriers are just like, I'll take it to the generals. I do. I mean,
can I finish what I do
skinning this beaver pelt? Like, it's all right, fine. I'll hold off. It sounds important.
I have like 6 buckets out back with like calves' brains because they are, and I soak the pelts in that, and then I scrape it. It's really stinky. Do you want me to take? Oh, okay.
Sure.
I will. All right.
Someone with my skills, like this seems like something anyone could do. I mean, is Lewis not available?
Oh, there's 3 couriers right there, just standing there.
Looking
at a beetle on the side of a wall. Yeah. Should I? No, I want you, the furrier. Okay, I will do it because I know you'll kill me if I don't. But I'm just gonna point out
exactly what do you even need these beaver pelts for? I don't know. And then it shifts to like a very strange perspective shift. It shifts to like some weird, NPCs that are like just generals somewhere, sort of talking about like, hey, we're getting ready for battle. The king wants us to do this. It's characters that are not named and we've never met. Very briefly, the Generals of Woe, who I think...
I didn't even notice that it switched. Is that when they start listing the armor suits and the swords?
Yeah,
shields?
armor suits, battlements, like all these contractors that I presume he's going to try to stiff later.
I didn't even know that it switched.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But yeah, the Generals of Woe are like, getting ready to go to battle. Since this battle is about to start in 2 months, I think, is what
right, it's scheduled, yeah.
But then, Hope has to go off to Nanaria, and that's when he says, give my compliments to Aslan, which is just deep, deep, exhausted sigh at this point in time.
Nanaria, like, all he did was take one letter and move it to the... Like, that's really lazy. I mean, the Care Paravel thing was like, all right, dude, that's pretty... Car par Lival.
Was that something else?
It's right in the same paragraph. Car par Laval.
Is that a character though? Like,
no, it's a place.
Okay.
So in Narnia, Care Paravel is an actual castle.
Got it. Oh, God.
But he just took Car par Lival. But then Nanaria. Come on, man.
When I'm looking at it in Google Docs, it is red underlined. It is saying, did you mean Narnia?
You mean Narnia.
So, like, yeah, when you're ripping something off, you should at least make it not trigger autocorrect.
Yes, God.
But then, yeah, actual Aslan. So, but it's a different
Aslan.
It's Aslan from Nanaria versus, it's famous original Aslan, not original famous Aslan.
Yes.
And then they have a little makeout session again before they go. They sort of try to turn into panthers, but they're like, no, we can't do it. Like, you've got to go. And I think that's all I have for this chapter.
Okay, let me see. When does this chapter end? I have like so many dumb sentences.
I did want to point out, it says justly, I took my journal from my desk. So justly does have a moment in these two chapters. It's thus of course is big, but justly comes on strong in this section.
Oh, it totally does. Oh, okay, they turn in. Yeah, he transforms into a Nryphon.
Right, and it's like Edward Cullen. He just like he gets so horny that he's like I almost went too far that time. I almost like drank your blood, Bella, type of thing.
Right.
But, he knows that the council won't let them until they're married in the Episcopalian Church, and so that's how it gets.
Right. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's the end. Okay, so wait. All right, this is my last note before the next chapter, and then we'll do real or fanfic. I now transformed into a Nryphon and allowed the wind to carry me across the lands of the estate. They, as you know, were large, so I could fly for a long while. Granted, my speed was at least 200. 200.
Yeah.
I flew for, I think, about 20 minutes before I took again to landing. As I entered the house, the smell of breakfast greeted me.
Yes.
As well as Hope, who woke during my absence from the house. She now stood looking out the window, probably for my whereabouts. He just left Hope. What is happening? Do you understand what is happening?
Oh, right.
He kisses her. They make out. He's like, I gotta go here. You gotta go there. See ya, babe. Don't bite my tongue off. I'm gonna turn into a Nryphon. And he flies. Why doesn't he use the feather? What the hell is going on?
Why is he flying at only 200 when he can fly 6,000?
Well, yeah, why doesn't he put a spike behind it? I don't know. But then she's there when he just said goodbye to her. And then she's there making sausage patties.
I think that, like, if you walked into the house and you're like, the smell of breakfast greeted me, as well as my loving wife, she'd be like, get the hell out of here. If you greet breakfast before me, this is not how it works here.
The breakfast.
The never-ending mixture. But like Big, he leaves the audience wondering what it might be for breakfast. Is it, sausage? Has she made pancakes? Is it cream of wheat? It's just lazy.
The never-ending mixture?
Oh, that's what it is. Yes, it is unceasing. And so he's like, "Oh, breakfast, screw it! I'll take my chunk of pork out of my mouth, stick it behind my ear like Violet Beauregard from Willy Wonka, and I'll chow down." All right. Well, I'm up for real or fanfic, right?
Yes. Very, very big thing, folks. Connor's going to do real or fanfic.
Fanfic.
Okay, well, this is exciting.
Yeah, it's been a while.
This is real or fanfic.
Couldn't tell you the last time
very popular series nowadays. To quote, what was her name? Riza? No.
Rita something.
Riva.
Of the John Dacre video.
Yes, look, folks, come on, we don't have to tell you. Anyway, this is where we read from our Patreon. People send in, these things could be real, or they could be written by our fans who write them in on Patreon. And I will read them out loud to Conor, and he will have to guess whether they are real from the book coming up, or they are fanfic written by one of our delightful Patreon fans. And if I can be sincere for a second, I actually love the people did such good work. I hate to be sincere, you know that.
Yeah,
This is a comedy
it's the worst.
thing.
Yeah.
But very appreciative of the things that people write in and of all the comments and everything. Very appreciative. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
That's at patreon.com/372
pages. Yeah. It's a good crew over there.
It's a really good crew.
Pronunciation correctors.
Aside from them. But you are jackals. All right, so here's the rules of the game. There are 5 samples I will read to Conor, and he will guess whether they're real or fanfic. They could all be real, they could all be fanfic, or they could be a mix of the two. And then he will decide, and then we will score him. My scores on this book are terrible. Conor has a smaller sample size, so he could...
I've learned more of the book, and there's less of it to go.
So here we go. I'm going to read... this is number 1. Ready?
Yeah.
And this is I just want to say this. It's interesting. Like, how do you the typos and things? Do you read them? I forget what you did. You know what I mean?
I sometimes have. I sometimes have if it impacts things or
I'll point them out, and then you just have to deal with them because they happen both in real and fanfic.
Okay.
But anyway, we got a lot of submissions, so thank you so much for people writing in. Very appreciative. Number 1. War! I shouted, surly, everyone heard. I think you understand that meant surely. Sure. It was supposed to be Yes, war, the council has declared it. They wish for us to return to Warikio within 48 hours. His voice was weak but calm. What of our parents? And does the Telquins know what the council has declared? I was frantic. Of course they know. This is as much their fight as it is ours. History unites us. As for our parents, they will be held in the province of Jayan, within the completed main keep of the Jayanifranos.
Okay.
We shall leave in the morning at first light. This was the news I had been wishing didn't have to come at all. Although I knew it would, and justly, I agreed with the council's plan of action. Bo now placed the letter under his jerkin, and we sat without the war's mention, enjoying the tea. So, Hope, what do you think about the tea? That is number 1.
Justly is nice. That seems real to me.
Okay.
It's so confusing when you read one of these because you have no idea when it's first person who is speaking.
Exactly.
But that's the way the book works. So.
Okay, number 2. Manchi's sword sliced me above the eyebrows. Blood of crimson most pure poured down my face. I was now completely blind. I breathed out and let my anger guide me to the state of angels to heal my wound. But nothing, happened. What have you done to me? I shouted with an unknowing tone. This is an angel-bane scimitar. It blocks you from using the state of angels, Manchi said with a frowning look. You'll, pay for that. Suddenly, my mistress White Eagle appeared behind the demon with her bow drawn.
Wow. I don't know. I think Manchi is a tip. I don't know if we're getting any more Manchi in this book. I say fanfic.
Okay.
There was a good turn of phrase in there, though. I meant to jot it down. Oh, well.
Okay. Number 3. I quickly took form of the eagle and launched into the air beside Bo. We moved fast, allowing the remaining soldiers to kill the few remaining demons as we went to kill the leaders. We've killed Slayer and his mistress. Now we have to kill Manchi and his mistress, whoever she was.
Wow.
White Bow, where is Manchi exactly? He turned to face me as we flew. According to the innkeeper at the White Horse Tavern, he is awaiting our arrival at our estate. I was surprised at the venue nonetheless. I had every intention of obliging. Well then, let's go meet him. This would be fun, killing these dreadful demons upon our land. Once we defeat Manchi and his mistress, we will have victory. The war we've been fighting since the winter will be over. Spring was at hand, a nice way to end one thing and begin a period of peace.
Oh my God. What is the White Horse Tavern? Is that something from Tolkien?
I don't know.
I cannot accept that Manchi's mistress might be a critical plot point of the final 2 chapters of the book. I have to say fanfic.
Okay. All right. Number 4. Slayer and I clashed heads. You need to give up, White Bow. He smiled with an evil smile as he did. Panther claws extended and cut my heart. You borrowed my abilities. I yelled, biting him with my bird teeth. You would rule for 1,000 years, well now I will rule for 1,000,000 years. You are a demon, you have no right to rule. If I can borrow your life, you killed Manchi, my only friend. I tore a chunk of meat from his shoulder and sticky red fluid covered both of us. He let out a pained scream. I'll kill you, White Bow, he screamed. This was not in the document. The document means nothing now, Slayer. You have broken the laws of war. You have committed the greatest sin in the eyes of God and have given yourself to the will of Lucifer.
Wow. Oh, man. The Barrowed seems a bridge too far. I've saved fanfic. It's got good at the end, though.
Okay.
Manchi is coming up big in this section.
All right, number 5.
Okay.
With each strike attempt by the demon mistress, Hope became angrier. Okay, let's end this annoying skirmish, Hope ordered. She took her blade and hurled it at the demon. It pierced her shoulder, stunning her. Quickly, Hope went for one of the silver daggers to finish her off. I'm just reading what it says. She grabbed hold of the one I had in front of me. No, you cannot use this. You are only permitted to use this dagger given you. She was furious at me for stopping her, though I had to keep the rules. She slapped me then, made her way to the recovering demon. With a forceful kick, she forced her back to the ground. She then proceeded to retrieve her dagger and then kill the demon. She sat on her stomach and held her head to the ground as she slowly sliced the demon's throat, allowing the blood to cover her face. At that time, I realized she was mad at me, not so much the demon.
Wow. I mean, they've been mad at each other in this section. I don't know. Real. I'll say real.
God damn it, you suck. You did really well. It's not fair. You don't have enough sample size. Okay, the first one, war.
War.
Drinking tea, you said real?
Yeah.
That was real.
Yeah. All right.
Manchi's sword.
Okay.
Blood from the State of Angels, you said fanfic. That was fanfic.
Nice.
Next
one. Who did them?
Yeah, oh, sorry. I'll read the... Yes, they were all suggested. Craig was the first one.
Okay, he suggested the real one.
The real one, yes. Okay. I have more to say about this. Josh wrote the fanfic for the second one.
Okay.
The third one, very proud that I got you on this one.
Oh,
this
really?
was real. You said fanfic.
Oh, my God.
This
Manchi's
is the White
mistress?
Horse Tavern, Manchi's mistress.
Wow.
You got 4 out of 5. Anyway.
Okay.
Slayer, that was Jonah's fanfic. This document means nothing to me. Slayer.
Barrowed, yeah.
And then slapping me and everything. That was real. That was for me.
Oh, nice. That one was just like subtle enough, I think, after 3 Monchis that I think if it had been in the middle, maybe I would have thought differently.
I just want to call out these people. Like, I was trying to trick you. I could not, obviously. I guess I suck at this. But anyway, Amy wrote in a real one. Alex wrote a really good fanfic. I did not reject these because they weren't good. They were really good. Harris wrote one. Craig wrote one. Jill wrote one. And Jackson sent in a real one. It was only strategic.
Yes, exactly.
And I obviously failed. So anyway, I thank you all. No, it was good. It was good stuff.
There's a Whitehorse Tavern in Harper's Ferry. That's like 30 minutes from me. Maybe I'll have to go and meet the tavern keeper.
Yeah, when I was in Ireland with my kids years ago, I said, like, I gotta go to this other town. Like, how do I get up there? And I went to a map store, and the woman goes, like, she goes, oh, well, just you go down by the Bloody Horse, and you take a left. I'm like, I don't know where the Bloody Horse is. She's like, what, you don't know where the... It was at the map store. So they couldn't show me on a map. I was like, so she walked outside with me. She was like, where's your car? It's like, right there. You just go up there and you go this way.
Good Lord.
Anyway, yes.
Do they have a kids menu at the Bloody Horse, man?
Yeah, it was all just like, like horse mentions. And then you go down by this tavern. And I was like, I don't know where that is. Well, then I can't help you. All right. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate the effort by everybody. That was tricky. It was hard. I wasn't confident.
Yeah. It could have gone either way. Just admit it. At least I fooled you once. All right.
Yeah. The next chapter is called In the Third World. And this is obviously picks up right as they did. Their breakfast was made and they're eating it type of thing. And then they're planning to leave after breakfast. She's going to Lutilla. Or no, he's going to Lutilla, and she says, like, the council is being called. Lewis has called them, and she says, I see Lewis is most wise to have informed them. I will do as he wishes. And I am just frankly stunned that Lewis was not something that was mentioned once and never brought up again.
He's a little kid, right? Well, she's a little kid, so they're the same age.
He was 10 or 11, I think.
Okay.
It was unspecified.
But wait, I thought, isn't she going to Lutilla?
Oh, it's hard. It's just like Lutilla after breakfast. Oh yeah, she's going there. She needs to get going.
Okay, and somehow she got to. Where are they right now?
I think they're in. They put her to her parents up in Katosia. I think they're back at their house or something. Maybe like where he's flying around.
Okay, so he says goodbye to her. He turns into a Nryphon and flies away, and then she's got breakfast prepared for him when he shows up at this place.
And I think they just sort of skip past this next day and say, like, all right, I'm going to bed. Tomorrow I'm going to Lutilla.
Okay.
I think that's what happens. She, like, takes his journal with him that doesn't really pay off and then goes to Lutilla where she is greeted and says, she's thanked by someone who says, I would like to personally thank you, there you go again, for saving our honorable friend Lewis. So Lewis is now an honorable 10-year-old.
So... Then the narration shifts again. The dream now lifted, and night fell upon them both. They slept silent, awaiting the dawn of a new day.
We do not need a omniscient narrator here.
Wait, what? Oh, by the way, did you do the Spanish that they... Thank you, Miel. Te quiero. I don't know. I don't speak it, so I don't want to say.
Te quiero means I love you.
Yeah.
I love you a lot, my amor. I'm here, and I will wait for you to return to me, I think.
Yes, something like that.
I wish you will return to me. But, yeah, just dropped in there with nothing whatsoever. But, yeah, before all we had gotten was Miel, and when he turned into a demon, Chica.
Yeah, so he's going deep here. So she goes to Lutilla... Right?
Yes.
But wait, it's a dream? No.
That just they went to bed after breakfast and then woke up the next day, I think.
I arrived at the king's castle. Queen and Mistress White Eagle, period. greeted one of the High Councilmen.
Hey, I mean, when we're going to miss this kind of thing when this is done, we're never going to read another book that does this. I think that's, you can say that with a lot of confidence.
So we, however, wouldn't actually fight. So she goes to make some sort of a, what is it?
She's recruiting assistance for an
alliance with them. This is like World War I. If Poland attacks you, we will attack Germany.
Right. We pledge our bannermen and our navy.
Yeah. We, however, wouldn't actually fight alongside you, just provide you with all materials needed to wage a successful war, like food, clothing, weapons, money, as well as prayer, of course, being of the temple. I know how important prayer is in times of war.
Oh, Lewis, come on, man. Like, you gotta step up the game here. These are actual demons that are coming to fight us here.
So that's what they asked, and that's what they pledged to them. And then, then her response is, "Yeah, cool. All right, take all the prayer you can be." When you say like, "Hey, I'll pray for you. Thank you so much." Hey, what about magic? Could you offer us some mages or healers? So, kind of an insult, like, hey, taste our fine, we make this soup. It takes 17 years to make it.
Got any chicken nuggets?
Well, I mean, I guess.
And so I think this is Lewis who's offering up the prayers alongside everything.
It is.
He's like, I'll light a candle for you.
Little kid.
He's doing like the, but like, Lewis has been spirited away to the third world, which is Lutilla, as a 10-year-old. That's the sort of thing that just might rock your metaphysics a bit, Like, I don't know what Lewis's faith was as he was getting attacked by these demons on his street corner. But, like, it just seems like maybe things have shifted for him as he goes here. And she is offering up, do you have magic? So magic also exists in this third world. So, like, whatever Lewis is going to be doing, like, maybe he's not going to cut it over here.
What do you... I don't know what the third world is. Do you know? I mean...
They do explain this pretty quickly because she goes to another world now, and they lay it on out. There is... there is... I forget what it's called, where Ohio is. Here, I've got it. His palace is in Titilicua.
Yes.
There's Eiris, which is our world. Lutilla is the realm that Lewis is now overseeing. And then there's a fourth world, which is, I believe, is Nania, which I don't know if that's Nanardi. I misspelled.
Nanaria?
I don't know if that's Demon Land either. So that's as much as I can offer you when
Do
we're
they live
what the third world is.
One?
I don't know if they transport with the stone feather that warps them, or if you have to take a Nriphon. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if the mages and healers are just native to Lewis's land, and that's why she asks for them. Like, going to a place where they have the special food, like going to Nashville and being like, what about some of that hot chicken? You got any of that for us? Like your local healers, I've heard good things about. I saw them on Triple D or something.
So she asked for that, and they were like, that sounds good. It's very quick. She's, again, she's 13, so.
Yeah. And
she's wondering if you could. With the little cookie box, and then her mom behind her, like, that's okay. Go ahead, you ask.
I don't have any cash. The mom's like, we accept Venmo.
Could you give me mages? Anyway, after I said this, the council seemed relived, and so immediately had invoices printed and distributed all throughout the land. Due to this, D.O., only 4 members of the council remained seated. So what is happening? Half of the council, what is there, like 8 members, whatever?
Probably.
They
Supreme
got up
Court
and
style.
Ran over to Instaprints and were like, hey, man, hey, how's it going? The guy with the headphones in is like, has to take one of his out. Like, what do you need, man? The printers are right over there. Like, we need a bunch of invoices printed and distributed throughout the land. Like,
oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, we don't distribute, man.
Yeah, you got to go next door for that. If it's a mage invoice, like that's a whole other thing. Like that's like not really what we deal in here.
Oh,
We're
you
sort of
don't
like healer invoices.
You don't do mages here?
No, it's just like we tried to for a while.
Does Wizard Prince do it? Because they're across the street by the Starbucks. Do you know where the grocery store is?
I used to be in a band with the guy who works behind the counter at Wizard Prince, and like he is stoned all the time. He's gonna mess up your healer invoice. Like that is you gotta go across town.
Okay, so if you were, let me ask you this: you were in a band, right? You're in a band now.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
What if I were you?
Yeah.
And I was printing up an invoice and distributing it throughout the land. Where would you go to distribute about your band? Like you're going to be at First Step, 7th Street Entry or whatever. Like how would you do it?
Well, you see, if you go over to Copy-O-Matic, there is a lot of copy and print shops in this town. I'm not going to lie. But
and they distribute?
Yeah, so when I get my flyers printed, I go to Copy-O-Matic because I used to, I was kind of banging the guy who works at Copy-O-Matic's X for a while. But when she called it off, we sort of got together one night, and I thought he was going to try like break my face in. But he was like, "Hey, man, you ever notice how she was always like, like harping on you to like get a real job or something?" And we sort of bonded over that by trashing her. So now we're bros, and he'll print up band flyers for me for free.
Just be careful. Your gauge is almost slipping into one of those machine. There.
Oh yeah, that'll happen. Yeah. It's I got
all right. Cool.
They ward off Manchi. Yeah, it's all.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. I will thank you very much.
So did you need anything from me? Invoices? I'm unclear, but I'm stoned all the time too.
No, I'm going over to Copy-O-Matic.
Got it.
Sounds cool. All right.
He's a cool guy. Yeah.
Chill. What's your band's name?
We are Manchi and the Monchers.
Yeah, I love it. All right,
yeah,
I will see you. I'm going there. Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis has just instituted a lot of bureaucracy, I guess. He needs everything in triplicate and a lot of paperwork. I'm not sure who needs to see those invoices, but
wow,
nice to have a record of them. I mean, since people are going to trial over whether they've paid a traffic bill, now people are probably trying to keep a paper trail.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now I see Iris and Nania, but not Narnia.
Right. He's forgotten how he misspells Narnia at this point in time.
Oh, my God. Okay. So Lewis, there's the T. Okay. Yes. Daisy T they have.
Oh, right. Yep.
But here's the, this really threw me off, and I went down a slight rabbit trail for this.
Okay.
The two queens now sat in privet within the quarters of Queen Alya speaking.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's so far off from private that I was like, that's not a misspelling.
Yeah.
That must mean something. So I looked it up. I'm like, okay, I'm a dummy. Sometimes, he uses like words where occasionally there's something I don't know. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, or they might be just Narnia misspelled, so you never know if that's the case.
So the two queens now sat in privet. Privet is a group of shrubs and small trees of southern and eastern Asia from the Himalayas extending into Australia. So the two queens went into a group of shrubs and small trees and sat and talked and had daisy tea, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Doesn't sound very comfortable, but...
It can't be private. It's so far off from private that it's not a typo, right?
I mean,
he can't think that privet is private.
Harry Potter lived, his uncle, the Dursleys, lived on Privet Drive, which to an English, American reader, I was always like, is that a British private? Because Private Drive is a common thing here, if you have a pipe stem that's like not a city-maintained road. That was always confusing to me, but I guess that is the Dursleys live on a thing named for an Asian shrub.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense.
So they sat in an Asian shrub. I guess that's what they do in the third world. Fair enough.
She starts referring to, she's like doing all these treaties with, what was the queen's name? Alia, Queen of Lutila. And I was like, I would give anything if that was how Lewis has just started referring to himself since he's moved here, being like, that is my new name here. But it is not. It must be his queen. And so they write up mutual defense treaties and stuff, and like a system of laws. They start like editing Wikipedia pages together. They're just having a great time. Again, filling out more paperwork.
And she says they're having this daisy tea. They're sitting in the shrubs having this daisy tea, I guess. Daisy tea? Is that a thing?
I don't. It doesn't sound like it.
I don't. And this is Alia, I guess.
Alia, queen of Lutilla.
I don't wish to seem rude. However, she paused. What is your husband like? I instantly became enlightened by this question. What? Oh. What does that mean? Do you have guesses about what? I assume he doesn't know what the word enlightened means.
Yeah, I don't think it's, if the Buddha had just had someone to ask him that question, that might have saved him some time under the tree.
Yeah, just like...
I think it means like my face lit up when I thought of my husband, She asked
me wow. I actually, you take it at face value and you just fail in this book. I instantly became enlightened. I was like, wow, that is... Yeah, George Harrison doesn't need to play the sitar and go to India. He can just ask him how his how hey
Patty's
George
doing. Yeah.
How's Patty doing?
And great internal peace. And her answer to that question is great too, because it makes me comfortable to know that even characters are unsure about the narrative here. He's been king of Titilicua for about 3 months, maybe 4. I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, I'm 13, so it hasn't been a whole year. So they talk about the fourth world. That's where it's revealed, where her husband co-founded the council in 5000 BC. So I guess she's not Lewis's husband. And after that, she says, "Oh yeah, I believe I've read something about this now." So something triggered her memory of that, and that's where they discuss the fourth worlds. And then I think she gets ready to go back. Oh, no, she's still talking to the queen. She says, how is Lutilla? And she says, well, I like it here. It's a lot like Titilicua. Granted, it has its differences. And she says, how is it different? Well, unlike Titilicua having a desert, this place has a lot of snow. Do you remember her answer to the question was, it's a lot like Titilicua. It is like comparing, the Gobi Desert to, Antarctica or the Himalayas. Like, well, it's similar. Actually, it's quite different.
But then her response is bizarre. Well, it sounds cold there. How are you faring? Spelled wrong, considering the weather. It sounds cold there?
I think she's talking to her husband in a dream at this point.
Oh, for God's sake.
They're like meeting each other on a dream or something, which comes up later. So,
okay.
Yep. They edit another document together. And
right. They make the Queen's thing. There's like 3 documents that are mentioned.
Yes, there's a rule of, they establish a system of laws. They could do a treaty. And then they have to do one other document. This is the list of the laws, a peace treaty, I guess. It is a good and long-lasting document. So I think they got to take it down to Copy-O-Matic and have it made in triplicate or something.
Oh, okay. Here we go. And then they have breakfast.
Yes, of course. It's
Queen White Eagle, I see you've woken. Come and eat some breakfast. It's warm, and thus you shall be. Her words were enticing and drew me ever nearer. That's the servant saying that, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Because the servant walks in. There's no indication that anything changes. But then you realize he meant that's the other queen, the one that wrote the thing. But it's like, there's no indication. It's just the servant walks in and is like, I'm doing this, whatever.
He's stoking the fire.
Yeah, exactly. God, that's infuriating from him.
But it pays off because we get another insane breakfast description, which they sit down at a weird table, and it's the dining room, or hall rather, was grand in its construction, boasting one of the most elegantly carved stone floors I've ever laid eyes on. She's not willing to declare it the most, but it's up there. It glared up due to it having been polished. Pleasingly enough, it revealed the ceiling as if you were looking at it through a mirror. So that's like an M.G. Escher sentences. Yes, it's. I think I don't even want to parse it. But then they get the seats. They're served. The food consisted mainly of pastries and rolls, along with fruit juices. There was some meat, but it fell in comparison to the number of breads. So they've just rolled out all of Sussy's bakery to them at this point in time. What was her bakery called? I don't remember. But, Great Grains or something.
Yes. I had that as a dumb sentence, but like there was some meat, but it fell in comparison to the number of breads. There is no way to make sense of what that means.
Yeah.
It paled?
Yes, I think that's what he means there. But
fell?
My face fell as I saw that there was not as much compared to the breads. We know they love their breakfast meats. Yeah.
I don't know. You come down, you're like, maybe she was on a keto diet and she like came down and was like, oh, it's all pastries. Oh, great. There's some meats, but none of them that I like.
I'm going to light myself on fire again.
Remember when we Riff Tracks we were all together as one company, and the building manager at one of the places we were like, oh, we're so happy you're here, and she would come, nice woman would come with a big tray of pastries, and I think at the time everyone at Riff Tracks was doing like keto, and so this giant box of pastries would sit in the break room and never be touched. It's like, I feel so bad. This woman was like, oh, hey, how you guys doing? You enjoying the facilities? So much. Thanks. You guys are so great. And then like just a box would just sit and mold for like 4 days.
You like it? Why don't you take a bite of one now? We have to like sneak the thing out the back door to put it in a dumpster or something. I don't remember this, but that does sound like something that would have happened. Like,
yes, that happened. Well, anyway, that's unfortunate. It fell in comparison to the meat or to the. Wow.
Then the perspective changes again. It's very confusing. It goes back to Whitebow. He's reading a flyer that says Master Whitebow and all of Tequilica prepare for war. And he says, like, hey, like, did you make this? Do you know anything as to this Invoices creator? So there's invoices being made back into Tequilica too. So they've got their own system of copy shops and bureaucracy. And he says, like, hey, I didn't make it. And he's like, all right, take the seal and by any means find the one who produces these lies. News like this could cause chaos and disorder. The news was prepare for war, which the only thing this book has been about is preparing for war that never comes.
It's on the schedule. Yes,
it's there. It told us exactly when it was going to happen. The only thing you're unclear about is whether it's millions or billions of demons. So I'm not sure who he's... This plot point, at least in this section, goes nowhere. There's no false flag campaign or something that someone's trying to get started.
Question for you. Do you remember this? This is a quote. I quickly found an ER Telquin and made my commands known. What's an ER Telquin?
Has to be some kind of furrier. I don't know.
That's a mailman.
Okay.
They said it earlier.
And so, that's who he asked if he knows who made these invoices?
Yes.
Sir, I am just doing, they've got us doing Amazon deliveries on Sundays now.
Guy with shorts on and the big socks and the headphones in, like, huh? What? My command. Yeah, I got, I'm on this street for like 2 hours, then I got to go over there, and I got to go around. I got all these flyers.
Yeah, the governor just issued stimulus checks, so like I got to just deliver these to everybody. It's just a bear breaking my hump here. I don't know.
an air Telquin.
He's no furrier, that's for sure. And then his response to that is he takes off the air Telquin, and then Master Whitebow says, people and their stupidity. Of course we prepare for war. We've been doing so for months now. Like, we know. We're well aware.
But they create the document. We had just finished creation of the document of Between the Twilights.
Mm-hmm. You don't say.
And had finally placed in the Temple of Ari. That's a little on the nose, isn't it?
Well, you had teenage vampires drinking each other's blood, and then you just have...
you got Lewis, you got Nanaria. Come on.
C.S. Lewis estate has been like, don't lump us in with this garbage.
Yes.
I was probably knighted, right? Like Stephanie Meyer in here.
The Temple of Ari. Oh, the Temple of Ari.
There's very much a scene that's like that later. They go to another temple to retrieve an artifact. It was like one of the challenges in Ready Player One, going to the Temple of Syrinx. Put out your idea about the Rush podcast. See if what they think about that.
Oh, very excited about this. Come on, people. We read the Geddy Lee book.
My Effin' Life
is reviewed. People love it. Mm-hmm. People love
It's like a written documentary.
I was telling Bridget about this the other day, and she was laughing so hard. She's like, wait, what? I'm like, look, I do not like Rush. I do not like the band. I don't like their music, but I saw Rush documentaries, and I was like, these guys seem pretty cool. Like, I like them. And then I saw a thing about Geddy Lee's life, and I'm like, man, that is amazing. That's incredible. Then the book comes out, and it's like, people are like, this is incredible. Like, this should be made into a mini-series. So my idea is Sean, Conor, and I read the Geddy Lee book, and then we listen to every album mentioned in the book, and we just go through it as a podcast.
When he talks about making, 2112 or, Test for Echo, you then take a break, listen to the album, and discuss that as you do.
Yes. Yep. So that's my idea.
I put on our vinyl copy of 2112, and Lauren asked me to turn it off about 7 minutes in. But I will post the picture. You said you watched a Rush documentary and said these seem like pretty cool guys. I'll post the back cover of that album in this thing, and people can judge for themselves.
Yeah. Right. There was a Rush album where they thanked us in the credits for a Mystery Science Theater. Yes, they on the road, or they were like, we watched Mystery Science.
Wow.
So back in the day, that happened.
That's delightful.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll try to track that one down.
Yeah.
To Temple of Ari, they go back to Tiliqua, and they're talking to Kaileb's parents. They're discussing when to have dinner. So you go back. You've formed a whole system of laws. You've recruited mages. You've paid off all these invoices, and now you're talking about when your in-laws want to eat dinner. So all the priorities are in order here. They arrive at 6 p.m., I believe. That's when they're going to have dinner. Mm-hmm. And she says, we talked of the adventures of the past week, which is the word adventures doing a lot of heavy lifting there for creating documents with the queen of Nanaria or Lutilla. And then they have dinner. It had this sentence which says, even my dad, seeing him in older style clothing was a big change for both me and him. So did they make their parents dress up like Renfest or like, Henry VIII when they come there? He's wearing one of those like floppy hats and a frilly collar.
They did. And this blew my mind. Like, look, your 13-year-old and the 15-year-old, right? Mm-hmm. Go like, hey, we're going to fly you to, I live in a different dimension, in a pyramid. Mm-hmm. So can you come and stay there? We have guest rooms.
We'll pay. We'll pay. Don't worry.
We'll pay.
We'll send a marathon to pick you up.
Where do I park?
Yeah.
How long does it last? Don't worry about it.
His mom's very hung up on where to park.
Yeah. Do I park 2 spaces or 1 space from the pyramid? Where do I go? What kind of sheets? How many thread count do you have?
Yeah. Will my phone work there when we get there? Because I do need to stay on top of the Cavaliers.
Because my 15-year-old son, because previously you were second string in basketball, but you are a king of the realm of another realm, and you're telling me there's 4 realms or just 3? We'll get to that.
Yes.
Mom and Dad, just come to our place. Would you, as a parent, you're like, all right, I'll stay in your guest room, my 13-year-old daughter, but I hope there's hand towels. I hope there's the black towels that say makeup on them so I can rub my, mascara off. and put that in one of the baskets.
Well, I mean, you think about this.
What?
You saw the place that I lived in when we were 25, like the Pacific
Sure.
Beach place near the bars and everything. Like my parents would come there, and you sort of come and visit your, Lauren was there, but you're visiting your 25-year-old son and future, daughter-in-law or whatever, and it's like they're making a go of this whole thing, but they're still living in a 600 square foot apartment, like trying to be like, oh, we got a nice bottle of wine for you, but like there's everything in the Bud Light cans and the recycling type of thing. These people are 15 and 13 in a pyramid, and the parents are they're being like, I'm putting on old clothes now that I'm here. You come down here and you dress like a bard or something, like.
So this is one of the things that happens. So they come back. Their parents are. Here's the dinner thing. Let me back up. Here we go. Well, I suppose the most obvious question to start with is this: what do you want to eat? Is that the most? Well, anyway, we can have anything, right? Unattributed. So who knows who said that? I'm assuming the dad.
The dad, one of the
scratching his, scratching his ass and going
ribs.
Yeah, we can have anything, right? And then the 15-year-old son. I assume it could be the 13-year-old daughter. Of course, you can have whatever you like. After reviewing the available food, we finally selected what we wanted. What do you mean the available? You just said you can have anything you want.
As long as it's available. And there will be a wellness fee.
I want an elephant ear sandwich. No, the chef says he's not cutting up an elephant just for one sandwich. Like that old joke. Like, what? We can have anything we want. Anything.
Yeah, they're reviewing guys who are going to have their minds racing with that. That's going to be like, all right, well done steak. Sounds good. Got some ketchup for it.
Then, after 10 minutes, sir, anything you want. Lobster nachos. All right. I was thinking, no, seriously, you take nachos, and instead of the taco meat, which from earlier, you have lobster.
Lobster's the finest food you can get. They used to serve it to prisoners.
How about a shot of caviar? Sir, literally anything. We are mages from another dimension.
Oh, you can get me. These mages can get me anything I want to eat, but you can't get the Cavs game on the DirecTV, can you? Huh?
How about onion rings that are thick but still crispy?
Dad, you were just going down the Applebee's menu. That's. What about a sex on a trampoline? How about that?
Oh, 1 free hour in the candy store? Can you do that? Can you mix me up one of that? Guy behind the bar and the thing going.
Yeah. I am not busy here because all these idiots want is Warrior Sangria. So I'm glad to just be able to make a drink for anyone, even if it is a sex in the candy store. And then they eat, his dad wearing old clothing, and they discuss things. It takes 2 hours for dinner, that of which was mixed into light conversation about general topics.
Light conversation? No questions?
So, seems like it might be raining on Friday.
You two are from another realm, I guess.
Yeah. What? How have you talked to Lewis lately? Oh, that's nice. That's good. I always like that kid.
Son, I came into your room, and I hate to mention it, but you have that poster or that. I don't know, she's pretty booby for me. I think you should can you take that poster down?
Yeah,
just because we show people your room. We have friends over from from our church council, and we just show them the house. Is that
I am the Lord Whitebow. How dare you want to take down my booby poster?
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Study hard. You're correct. That is true. Yes.
Refrill that collar. Your frilly collar is not looking so good.
I'm sorry.
Disrespectful here in Tatilica.
I haven't had a chance to. It's so hard to eat the gravy potatoes with the collar spreading out in front of me.
But it saves the gravy for later when it drops into the frills act as a reservoir.
Oh, I'll restarch this later.
Yeah, you better. Come on. I know a lot about dry cleaning as a 15-year-old.
Hey, mage, can I get another one of these son bitches right here?
Clinks the ice cubes in his glass. But then they finish eating, and then it's like it's not too late in the afternoon to do something else. I thought it was dinner.
I did too. I assumed
specified.
2 hours of lunch.
Yeah, it's about 6, so we could have dinner anytime. So it takes 2 hours, and then it's 8 o'clock. But I guess it's not too late to go visit the capital of Titilicua, Azurauta. And they're all like, "Sure, sounds good. I guess this is what we do here. We'll go visit the capital with our 13 and 15-year-old. I guess maybe just the 13-year-old. I think what's his name? Master Whitebow is hanging out with Steven, but we can get to that.
This is where I'm going to ask for your help. I get utterly lost here.
Okay.
So it appears that during our leave of Titilicua, the province of Usoji was attacked.
Uh-huh.
The letter mentioned that the attackers were of Eris origin. The main question is this, though. How did they, humans, gain access to the realm, and they can enter this realm? What does this mean for the other two? Let us hope that Stephen and Lewis are ready for war. And then, quote, Stephen, I think I may have a solution to your problem if you will come with me. I turned rather quickly to the direction of the voice to look upon the man's face. Who are you and what do you mean Stephen may have a solution? My name is Leorom. I am a Nenean archer from our land. I have been sent here to retrieve you, if possible, and return to Stephen. I have no idea what this means. Do you have any idea what this means?
This one took a while because some commas are missing that let you know.
Okay.
But
commas are missing? What?
Stephen, I'm sure you will recall, wrote a biography of Lewis. And that was said when they met Lewis for the first time.
Sure.
I think someone was like, yes, I read the biography of you written by Stephen.
Sure,
I don't know if that fell back in time. I don't know why Stephen was writing a biography of Lewis before he became king of, the realm at Titilicua or whatever. It
the
like
place
he would have done much before he was 10.
Sure.
He probably watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on TV, and that was that whole chapter of the biography. Anyway, he has now gone to Stephen, which I believe is in the fourth world. He's at the castle.
What? But he hasn't gone there.
I think he is. I think
our leave of Titilicua, the province of Usoji, was attacked.
He says you guys go without me when they're going to the capital. He says I've got to finish some things to finish. And then she goes out there. So I think that is what's happening here. He has gone to try to, request. He's asking something from Stephen. Oh, he wants Stephen pledges weapons, but Whitebow wants healing agents from them. So just as White Eagle asked for mages and wizards from Lewis, he has gone to Stephen to ask for healers.
Stephen,
the biographer.
The
of
biographer,
Lewis.
Stephen.
Stephen II, son of King Stephen.
Oh, does he run the province of Usoji?
I don't know who because it says that was attacked by people from Eris.
Who's Leorum?
That's I think one of Stephen's assistants or something. But so Stephen is in the third world because when he says thank you for giving me, he says I'll see what I can do in terms of getting you healers. And he says, thank you, Stephen, for respecting my request and your aid. I now bow to him as a sign of respect and took my leave of the third world. So he is also in the third world, which is also where Stephen is. So that must be how they know each other. They just hang out at, third world networking events.
He held up that white feather and thus with all but a small chant teleported us out of the second world and into the third.
There you go.
But I thought they were already in the third world.
Titilicua is not the third world.
God damn
it. That's why they put Lewis in charge. They brought him back. And I don't know what happened to his best friend that they had the inaugural potluck for. We haven't heard about him in a while.
Oh,
remember him? They built him a castle.
Lauren.
Okay, yeah, his best
but
friend.
not Leorum.
No, that's just, how dare you? I mean, why would you think that those two things are even remotely similar?
Okay, so there's Stephen and Stephen the Second.
Yes, I don't know if Stephen is actually part of it. Stephen the Second, I think, is now the current ruler of that realm. Son of Stephen.
God.
Oh. Well, he gets home. He sort of dresses down Star for not letting his in-laws go to the capital.
Oh, yes. This is bizarre. This is so bizarre.
He says, like, you're relieved of your duties, Star. And then he says this quote, which is very interesting. She's seen both my reason and anger, and thus did as I had requested. The women with whom I surround myself are always too feminine for me. Their ability to seduce my emotion is there even when they don't try. I don't know what he means. I don't know if he's suggesting that they go and, take a cue from Judge Nelson or something, or it makes no sense. It's just if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them.
Well, I read that and was just like, oh boy. I don't know that. But there's a follow-up to it. Oh, shoot. Where is that? I don't think I have it as a note because he follows it up with like, well, because I noted that and it was like, oh, my God. That is pretty harsh.
Uh-huh.
But then he says something after it that made me go like, okay, I think I know what he's trying to say, but I don't. I can't find it. Anyway, if anyone knows what it is. So this part, I have to admit I was utterly confused about because he does not do places well.
No.
So she goes off with the parents, right?
To the capital, yes.
Who are they're from Iris,
a.k.a. Earth, our
Earth. They're
dimension.
from Ohio. And she takes them across like the Misty Mountains or something.
Tall mountains, correct.
Yes.
Very snowy. So very similar to that desert place he was talking about earlier.
And he comes home and thinks that they're going to be like, cuddled up doing the Nespresso machine, maybe taking a little light ski around the cabin or whatever, or maybe taking the boat out. But he comes back and they're like, no, they're gone. I'm like, wait, what do you mean gone? Like they're on the pontoon? They're taking a little booze cruise? Like, no, they went, right? Is that, I cannot
that's why he gets
this.
angry at Star. He's like, yeah, they set out after dinner to head to the capital.
I do not. This last part is baffling to me.
Yeah.
I do not understand what this was.
This is going to help clear it up.
Okay, thank you. Good. All right.
He takes off. He can't ride on a horse because all the food for the horse would be under the water, obviously. He says,
wait, all the food for the horse would be
He says, taking a horse would be too much of an undertaking in way of feeding and water due to all the food being under the snow. Equally the water. Well, that's obvious.
Wait, he can fly.
He can fly very fast.
And he can transform into a Rhyphon.
He can also warp with a feather.
Yes, the stone feather.
But then he also says this, it wasn't the cold, it was the stupid speed at which I could travel, that being 2 below slow.
Oh, right, yes.
Or negative slow. That's truly where you start to lose me, because it's like he has a little Mario Kart gauge where it's like slow, fast, and he's going 2 below slow or something.
So, right, he can't follow them because it's too cold where they're going?
Correct, and he's very concerned about them.
He can't
there's
fly.
Avalanches and blizzards. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
They hand wave away. He's immortal except when he can't be. But he then summons the Mystic of Foresight to help him, who offers up. She's like, I can't help you. I'm busy. Like, I've got to go. I got a bachelorette party that's going to the horse track or something.
Sure, yeah.
But take my daughter, Lidris Maria.
Yes, Lidris Maria, or Lidris, Maria. Possibly Maria Lidris. We don't know.
More people have to start incorporating commas into their name in honor of this. But she's also a mystic, so she can go and she's going to help him. She's going to be his Sam to Frodo, like going up these mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he makes his way towards them, and it flashes back to their perspective. Hope with the parents.
Oh yeah, this is where I got infuriated. This is where I kind of I have to admit I slightly disengaged.
Okay.
So the elder mystic teleported using a stone feather, and I and Lidris were left to face the mountain alone. I just prayed. Who do you think the I is in this thing?
White Bow.
Okay. I just prayed that the others and their confrontation would end without one of their deaths. Where are we exactly? I was pretty sure I knew. Dad, I think we are in the westernmost region of the mountains. Did you? I'm infuriated at this point. Like, what does that mean? Lidris is calling him Dad?
You can see why you might think that, since you left out nothing from between those sentences ending, but it has undergone a trademark Kaileb perspective shift to the Donner Party of Hope and the four parents who are starving in a cave, snowed in on the mountains of Tolth.
Oh, that is infuriating.
Yeah, it's really, really bad, especially because they just decided to go do this after dinner when they should have been out on the pontoon boat having a booze cruise.
Exactly. Why did they do this?
They find a letter underneath a tree root that says, so it becomes a little adventure game for a second. Issues a challenge, and it says, we're coming to get you, but as demons, but only the humans can fight. So Hope is, being like, okay, Mom and Dad, I've known I've thrown a lot at you. Now you're going to have to take up arms and fight a bunch of demons because I found this letter and we have to now fight the demons. And then she passes out. And that is, how it happens in the book. There's very little between those two things happening and her losing consciousness.
I do like that during that, the next thing I recall was the whipping sting of the cold air upon my face. My lips were dry from lack of moisture and the abuse endured by the blistering wind. Okay.
Settle down.
And then frantically I searched for the others. Frantically spelled so wrong that even no AI could
several
possibly.
Letters. Yeah, it thought I had misspelled Narnia, but it is giving me a whole different underline color for frantically. It's like a super error.
So I don't. The rest of it, I don't know. Like, he goes in search of them, but Lidris, the girl who was.
So what happens here is, here's what she says. She says, "If I could dream, I could communicate with Bo to ask him for his aid. I was sure he was already on the mountains. Not to mention, mad." Which I thought was great, is that he's gonna be really steamed at this whole situation she's gotten herself into. But then they do talk to each other through a dream.
Dream jumping. Yeah.
Dream jumping.
Jumping.
He pulls her through the what does it say? He pulls her through the dream. He lunges towards her, and then they're like, "Hey, what's going on? What should we call that?" He begins to smile. "We can call it dream jumping. I thought about this, and due to the lunging, it seemed to work. So after all the lunging, we'll call it jumping." That's those are two words that mean the same thing.
And he says earlier, we both stayed looking at each other, appalled at what just happened.
Yes.
So what the living? We should call it dream jumping. Oh, sounds good.
They're smiling at
appalled.
that. Yeah. They were briefly appalled. I mean, I don't know if it's
they can dream of each other and jump into each other's dreams. Is that what's happening?
It's sort of Inception-y, I guess. You can just meet up in someone's dream, and I mean, he could warp before. He's died twice. None of these rules matter. But
so is she out of the Misty Mountains or whatever?
No. They start taking shelter in all these caves. Like they have these caves that are Far Side cavemen caves, I'm guessing.
Sure.
And they're sort of getting horny again. They're smooching and keeping each other warm. And I was like, meanwhile, Kaileb's dad, they gutted him like a tauntaun, and they're trying to climb in for warmth and something because the parents are just out there as this blizzard rages. But that does not mean there's not time for an exchange like this, which is the second time I laughed out loud.
Good.
He woke at my stirring, and in a lone, groggy voice he moaned, then leaned up to look at me. He seemed surprised that I was there, probably due to me not having been there for so long. It's morning, and we've not much in the way of breakfast, I said, looking at him again. So they're still concerned about breakfast as their parents are likely frozen, eating each other, who knows. He sat fully up, looking at me with wide eyes. Breakfast? He repeated. Yeah, food in the morning, breakfast, I mused. And I just said, in everything that we have read, we just saw dream jumping. We've had Lewis taking control of a realm. Him not recalling the concept of breakfast might be the most unrealistic thing in the book so far, because it has been at least a third of the action in the book is eating breakfast. And now he's like, what's that?
And what does he bring for breakfast? Here we go.
Yeah.
So they're having this little, I guess it's supposed to be a cute back and forth, like about breakfast. Like, yeah, breakfast, the food you have in the morning. Like, it's supposed to be a 30s, back and forth. Well, I guess that's one way to say no, man, I stated sarcastically. Sorry, he said, his face reflecting the spoken words. Now his hands met either side of my face. What would you like, miss? He said playfully. My face got serious as I flashed my teeth. Anything that is full of blood and meat. He jerked his head back.
Whoa.
Well, now I know what it's like to sleep with a vampire, he teased. The audience going like, ooh, as he went like this. Oh, God.
Yeah, little hold on tight spider monkey kind of dialogue from Twilight.
And then he throws a white leopard on the ground.
Woof. Like,
whoomp. Dust from the cave, I guess. Maybe some snow is coming in the front, like it's blizzards, right?
Yeah. It takes him 30 minutes to hunt one down, and she's furious. She says that's one of our kind. And he's like, well, he knew he was dying, and he wanted to aid us, so he let me end his life. I answered quickly. How? ? Broke his neck. She's disgusted, but like the leopard is like, hey man, you're getting old. Can you take one for the team so we can, so we can subsist? We need to find your parents. Like, it struck me as very funny.
Roar, I guess. Yeah. Roar. Right? We're good here? Okay.
Wait, what did I just agree to? Ah! That was one of 3 left in the world.
So, husbands, if you ever do this and just like throw a leopard on the kitchen floor and your wife is like, what in the name of hell? What is going on? What did you do? Just go like, broke his neck, and then walk out and like start fixing the toilet. Like, yeah. I'm going to put a new flusher on this thing, the flapper thing. The flapper's getting old. It's sort of ghost flushing. I'm going to fit. There's a white leopard on our floor bleeding out. Broke his neck.
He's not getting any more. He's not resembling breakfast any more than he was when I threw him on the floor, is he?
I do not hear the stove starting.
So yeah, that's pretty sweet. I mean, in a better book, you'd be like donned in the leopard's like is a skin, like wearing an animal skin when they approach his parents. But I think they just it says they eat a lot of it and chase it with blood, and then they freeze the remaining meat, which in the blizzard I imagine just means they set it there, because it's gonna everyone's gonna freeze.
They freeze it.
And they start tracking our parents. This is where it says, we found refuge in another cave as the Talf Mountains seem to be littered with them. So they're just caves like that New Mexico like place where they have those it's like apartment building style caves. So I guess it's like that. And then Lidris gets back in touch. I forget what she says, but here's a description of Bran, who is this? Oh my God, we got to hurry this up. But Lidris tells White Eagle, Hope, to go to essentially the Temple of Syrinx.
Yes.
You'll find an artifact
to see the
there.
wizard. Yeah.
Yes. And there's a wizard there, and this is an amazing description of a person. His lips were tight, but not hard. So I've got to look back at like photos of family and friends and to see if I can find anyone that I could describe that way, because I need to know what that looks like.
So this guy who we're just supposed to know, but he's like, So Lidris comes to her. This is where you just kind of go, he told me as he here, take this, period. He told me as he handed me a staff. It is beautiful, I said, my eyes fixed upon what I now held. It is called the Staff of the Four Worlds. It is to be wielded by a wizard. The wizard will come to you seeking it during the last days of the war. This is all in quotes. He paused to look at me, so he said that.
Okay.
Anyway, this is what... take care of my daughter, Mistress White Eagle. I was surprised, but it seemed to fit together quite well. What the hell does that mean?
She means that Lidris was... The next sentence is Lidris was the Lord's daughter. That explains...
But what fits together quite well? He hands her a staff. Is the staff in two pieces? And then there's like magnets or something like, well, I got to screw this. Do I need to... No, you're good.
Summon the enchanted duct tape.
It's... Yeah, if you run a little... No, just screw it. No, just screw it. It's 2 slots. There's 2 slots. You put it in, then you turn.
Are the slots enchanted too?
No. They're just... Oh, God. Look, I'm fading away.
She could do it, yeah. I'm as old as that leopard. You can eat me if you want to. I wouldn't mind.
No, one end of it is wide, and then you screw it, it tightens, and then it's like a couch leg. You know, when you ever did like an IKEA? I gotta go. See ya.
Good luck in the Demon War. And then she transports back out of there, and White Bow's like, "Hey, nice staff. What? How do you know about the staff?" I said in surprise. "I know of it because it is upon your lap." He gestured towards the staff. He was right as it sat still upon my lap. I'm always forgetting when I've got a big enchanted staff on my lap. That's something that you can sort of like lose track of.
You're at a dinner party. You're like, what? I don't know what you mean. Well, you came back from the bathroom. You have a huge staff on your lap. Oh, do I? Lauren's like, Connor, you do. You have a very large staff on your lap.
I must have trailed that out of me. It's embarrassing. Start the car.
You know, we have a large staff, pretty valuable, that was on our front shelf. Now it looks very much like the one you have in your lap.
In my lap? No.
Yeah, I mean, it looks a lot like it. Let me just go. I'll go get mine and we'll compare them.
Okay, you go get them and we'll compare my staff, which I brought with me, to your staff, which is in the thing.
Exactly. Let me go get mine. Oh, there go Connor and Lauren left.
He had to open the convertible roof of his car to fit the staff into it. Sorry. But I do not want this staff, because this staff might be like the lamest thing that's ever recorded in all of fantasy literature, if that you can refer to this as such, because she says, "I began to hear voices, those I knew. While holding this staff, I can hear our parents," I informed him. Now we know its ability. So you're going through a dungeon with your dungeon master, and he's like, "You enchant her staff. Oh, what can it do? Is it a healing staff? Can it shoot lightning at demons?" It's like, while holding the staff, you're able to hear your parents' voice. All right.
You're just like immediately like, okay.
Not be taking this one with me. That is, do not care for when they call me. I always think something bad has happened, and this makes it even worse if I can just hear them, whatever they're talking about.
Hang on, let me tune in. Hey, honey, I think we should go to that Mexican place. I got this new shirt from that's pretty good. What do you think of this shirt? Like,
you can't wear that to Mexican, Dave. That is
Where are we gonna when we get there? Where do you think we're gonna park?
Well, where do you think I'm gonna park?
Oh, that's fun. You know, there's still a spark. There's still a spark between us. I am getting fat. Oh my God, am I fat?
It's because our son keeps buying us meals. I told you, you need to pay. You're the adult. You keep letting him pay. You're a bum.
Oh, man, if someone had a staff and could hear us,
that would be so
imagine that.
They wouldn't even realize they were holding it. And very quickly, they sense demons. They're coming. There are also Ukets.
Ukets and demons.
And humans.
I didn't notice the humans.
Well, the humans turn out to be their parents. They have the Ukets and demons have taken them prisoner.
All right. Yeah,
and here there is one more thing that is just amazing. If I had read it in fanfic, I would have thought it was fake. But it is they start getting ready to battle these demons. And he says, "The staff I hid quickly into the darkness of the cave. I levitated it up high into the ceiling, and then wedged it between two stalagmites." Yes. Now, if you had to guess whether or not I don't know it. I had to look at it myself. If you had to guess whether this guy got it right and put the stalagmites are the ones on the ceiling or not, what would you have to say?
Well, I only know because you hang tight to a stalactite. Stalagmites come from the floor.
So he has somehow levitated the sword to the ceiling and then wedged it to between two stalagmites growing from the bottom of the cave up to the thing.
Yes.
It's incredible. I guess they could have reached the ceiling, but yeah, I also saw that stalactites have C for ceiling in it, and stalagmites have G for ground. So.
Correct.
Nice.
Yes.
But the Ukets have taken the humans prisoner. They kill a whole bunch of Ukets. That's covered in one sentence. And then they began to engage the two demon generals that lead them. And that is where this chapter ends.
The chapter, what is it called? The third
chapter was
world?
called The Third World. The previous chapter was The Force. I don't know if the Force was the force that forced someone into a tree, because there was no actual force that I thought of, other than it was the force of law in that trial scene.
The Third World had the Fourth World in it?
No, I don't think they've been to the Fourth World. The Fourth World might be
mentioned
the demon
the Fourth World.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they've got a lot to cover in the next chapter, 2 chapters, because there's a demon war with billions of demons that has to happen. And I guess
possibly billions. We don't know.
Yes, and there's the next chapter is written in bold, so that's exciting.
Mm-hmm. All bold.
And it is the chilling thought has just occurred to me that we might get to the end of this and it would be all a dream. I mean, it's there in the title. That shouldn't have taken me this long to occur to me. But
you had to know that was coming.
Oh my God. Well, we will get there. We will finish the book, but let's finish up with dumb sentences.
ESOTW of the week. ESOTW of the week. DSOTW of the week. It's time for dumb sentences.
Here's one from Amy. Into a tree I slammed, only to bounce off again to meet the ground. She just asked if Larry Guess wrote a sentence. Maybe it should be the awesome sentence of the week. I agree. Jim and Rob submitted M-ellipses. He began to speak and only one syllable passed as his head was separated from his body by the cold thirsting of the blood-lusting blade of which was my sword. It was over. I guess they both all consider that one sentence. I'll allow it. Rick submitted, pleasingly enough, it revealed the ceiling as if you were looking at it through a mirror. That's the place where they had the breakfast that was fallen, breakfast. Mostly pastries and rolls.
Yeah.
Augusta submitted, I was trying to explain what happened, but it was hard. And they said this accurately describes the experience of both the author and reader alike. Scott and George submitted a good one with Justly. We didn't touch on how often Justly came up, but it was there. But they submitted Justly, a French kiss was to be expected. Kate and Mike T both submitted the for a Mexican, you sure don't fight that much. Does he have it associated with like cockfighting? And I don't know. It's
for a fat girl, you don't sweat much. I don't know. It's pretty bad.
Jackson submitted, the women with whom I surround myself are always too feminine for me. So those are 2 back-to-back glimpses into the mind of our author. Jonah submitted, I am the one who annoyed your wife and thus released the demonic illness which had laid dormant inside for many hours. And he said something about a demonic illness being annoying really takes the threat out of these villains. Nathan submitted, this is one sentence without punctuation mark, Mom whenever you like. And he said it sounds like a family on-demand service. Maybe Man Mom is running that.
Man Mom.
Amanda submitted, the 9th hour now greeted them with all its lateness.
Oh, man, I had that as my dumb sentence. Shoot.
I mean, if finishing dinner at 8 is not late enough to go tour the Capitol over the Tulf Mountains, 9 doesn't seem like that late.
With all its lateness.
Valentari and Jeff submitted this one. I also wondered as to what he was doing at this moment. Was he too asleep or still stalking the night as he tended to do? And they said, Valentari said, this has literally never happened. He sleeps soundly in his jeans nearly every night and has done exactly 0 nighttime stalking. And Jeff said, looking back over the book, I can only assume the author's definition of stalking the night is staying up a little later than your significant other. Piper submitted, the humans, being my parents and hopes, along with my brothers and sisters and that of a child, stood in awe as they watched from afar the battle unfold. R. Perot 99 said, this was later said to be a small sample of the battle between our father and Lucifer. I don't remember what that was all about, but there's more specific theology in this book. Hayden submitted the ninth hour greeted them with all its lateness. And he said he did say that she is 13, so 9 p.m. would be kind of late if it was a school night.
That's true. Honey, get to bed.
Oh, I can never watch must-see TV. Harris submitted, soon as we arrived at the restaurant and Mom, being who she is, parked in the closest parking space to the building, he said, that classic Kaileb's mom characteristic. That's totally her. Janelle submitted, only moments later, about 5 minutes to be exact, he arrived in the form of a Nriffon at a castle gates. And she said, is it moments or exact minutes? Because one is vague and short and the other is precise and accurate. Beth submitted, that being too slow or negative slow. Negative slow is fast, right? It's not worth getting into. Mike submitted, I was told that the council was to meet in the large hall where almost all meetings of importance were held. And he said, I guess the rest of the important meetings were held in Community Room D at the local rec center, and unimportant ones are held in the can. Alejandro submitted, the servants took to making food for the generals, they of whom ate quickly, as to allow themselves time to make the ride to the north. And Keith submitted, I kissed his cheek, like that helped anything. I have a few, I think. I mean, the first one I had was, have you drunk any demon blood lately? This one was good.
Sorry.
This one was good, though. I think this is as Kaileb was giving blood, and he passes out because he gives too much blood. I struggled to wake, but with much effort, finally woke.
Mine is this. It starts with, this is its own sentence. I swear I took it. I just copied it. As the sun shone brightly, comma, granted all the circumstances. I don't know. I didn't. I just pulled it out. I don't remember what it.
That sounds like the sun is verbing the circumstances.
As the sun shone brightly, comma, granted all the circumstances.
I think it's like, after all this bloodshed and horror, the sun is still shining brightly. Like, how is that possible?
I don't know.
I have another good one. His mother smiled, followed in kind by my mother, who stood leaning against a column, one of the 4 which held the ceiling.
All right, I'll quickly go through.
Nice.
That of which was at the back of the court.
Okay.
I smiled, lightly squeezing her hips. Sure, what kind of tea is it? She smiled, recalling a favorite, I'd suppose.
Wow.
I'd suppose.
Yeah.
Well of my husband.
That's a sentence.
That's a sentence. His question held my word as I thought.
Wow.
That of which instills peace for all our sakes. There was some meat, but it fell. And sorry, that one we already covered. Yeah. Only a brief smile granted me as we left the dining room and followed the castle to was now behind us.
Jeez.
Not too effortful, yes. T-O, not
wow,
T-O-O.
Nice.
She surly covers well, too well sometimes.
Surly, yes, there was a lot of surliness.
I, remembering the prophecy, harshly spoke. And, yeah.
How about one more from me? He upon his horse rode swiftly from my presence, leaving only dust in his place. He upon his horse. That's good.
I have one more dumb sentence, and then I'm gonna give you a sonic challenge, which I forgot to give you.
Let's wrap it up with that.
Dumb sentence is inlay a frozen parchment.
Okay.
That's a full sentence. All right, here's the sonic challenge.
Okay, this will sign us off.
Yeah, here we go. Day 5, and I've only made it a little more than past the base of the mountain. I thought loud to myself, I was becoming frustrated. So the quotes are, Day 5, and I've only made it a little more than past the base of the mountain. I thought loud to myself, I was becoming frustrated.
Okay. Day 5, and I've only made it a little more than past the base of the mountain.
Okay.
That is loud, and I am frustrated.
Becoming frustrated.
I'm becoming frustrated. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on my way. But
If I was Orson Welles, I'd come. You knew. In the middle of that, you became frustrated, but you're becoming frustrated. All right, well, there we go.
thank you. I am not frustrated at the prospect of finishing this book. I'm so eager to see
I can't
if
wait
this
to
demon
get
war.
this done.
Can you be bleary on it if you never get introduced in the first place? Or I guess it could be like Bennett Sands and Sonny Hikori, just talk about it the whole time and then resolve it in.
Where
3
is this going to
sentences or
end?
something.
What's going to happen? There's a demon war, and spikes are going to come out. That's all that can happen. There's no other possibility.
Aslan? I don't know. Maybe Aslan will show up.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
So